6:04, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, off and running. Brian here with you, Bree Lynn producing, getting you ready for a Wednesday show, a stacked up Wednesday show, y'all. We're all over the map today. We got attorney Franz Borghardt coming up in just a little bit for a little Legally Serve. We got insurance commissioner Tim Temple stopping by, which, always nice to have the insurance commissioner stopping by when there's a tropical storm in the Gulf. We will be checking in on the 6th congressional district race. As there's news on that front, we will be checking in down in New Orleans where they're saying, hey, that whole indictment thing? Oh, we got a lot of ground to cover. Let's get to it. Top stories. Oh, by the way, we're broadcasting live from the 180 Pro studio. Top stories and trending. Let's get it. Well. Start you off down in New Orleans where Jason Williams, Mayor Helena Moreno, and City Council sent letters to Judge Lori White requesting to consider dropping the Liz Murrell case. Surprise.
Those are the victims of that crime. I think it's important to point that out. Those individuals are the alleged victims of the crime, the intimidatees of the intimidator. So isn't that interesting? Does the prosecutor have to listen to its victims?
We'll get to it.
I'm sorry. I'm just teasing it.
Legally Served coming up 20 minutes from right now. Yes. With Tropical Storm Bertha heading towards Louisiana. As a precaution, East Baton Rouge Parish has made self-service sandbag locations available throughout the parish to help residents protect their homes and property. Residents are encouraged to bring their own shovels to fill sandbags. A list of locations is available at brla.gov/emergency. The warden of the West Baton Rouge Parish Jail resigned weeks after 4 inmates overdosed at the facility. In his resignation letter, Warden Trevor McDonald, who held the post for less than a year, said his decision to leave was not influenced by recent incidents at the detention center. He has a new position as a warden at a different correctional facility. Baton Rouge is leading the state's other metropolitan areas in job growth over the last 12 months. This is coming from a study by Leaders for a Better Louisiana. The July 2026 report shows that Baton Rouge area has added approximately 7,900 non-farm jobs from May of last year to May of this year. That's a 1.8% increase, up from the previous year's 0.3% growth. By comparison, Lafayette increased by only 0.1%. New Orleans and Shreveport declined by 0.5% and 0.6%, respectively. It looks like Louisiana's 6th congressional district will not have an incumbent on the ballot. Cleo Fields' team announced yesterday that rather than spend campaign dollars running for re-election, Fields can hang on to that money and now go back to a state Senate seat, which opened up with the passing of Larry Selders. We'll talk about that with Scott McKay from the Hayride at 7:35. What you say, Brian?
Well, Brian, in top stories, you were talking about Louisiana growth. Well, Louisiana's population grew in 2024 for the first time since 2017.
Yeah.
It was only an uptick, give or take 24,000 residents, but an uptick, nonetheless.
It's positive numbers are positive numbers.
Right.
I don't care that it's not a huge number. It's a positive number. It's not out migration. It's in migration. It's the first time we've seen that. So, like you said, and it's the first time we've seen that in almost a decade.
Well, and if you remember going way back with Hurricane Katrina, everybody left after Katrina.
Yeah.
And so it's just good to have people coming. I say coming home. It's home for us. But yeah, coming to Louisiana.
Yes.
Well, testifying on Capitol Hill Tuesday, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth told the Senate Appropriations Committee that the latest estimate for the cost of the war with Iran is $37.5 billion.
Wow. Okay.
That's a lot.
That's for the war that's going to be over in 3 weeks, 4 weeks tops.
Remember that?
Yeah. 4 weeks tops, we were told.
So did you see this too? There was a heated exchange between Pete and Senator Gary Peters from Michigan during this Senate hearing. And apparently Peters blasted Hegseth, saying the administration has no clear strategy to win the war and criticizing the Pentagon for seeking tens of billions more from Congress.
Yeah.
So you throw that into the monkey wrench.
Yeah.
But remember, it's a war we were supposed to be out of after 3 weeks.
It was something that was not supposed to. Well,
in a historic way that no one has ever won a war before.
Because it would be a historic way because nobody wins wars over there. You just fight.
True.
It's
huge.
You're not fighting Iran. You're fighting Iran and all of Iran's proxies. And the proxies don't answer. They don't kick back up the line. There's no military strategic chain of command there. There's no chart on a wall showing who reports back to who.
No.
It involves multiple countries. In fact, man, yesterday talking to Jordana Miller from CBS. By the way, I'm sorry, from ABC. We were talking to Jordana Miller about this whole situation. She lives in Jerusalem. She's based in Jerusalem. So bombs are going off a good hour from her house. That's pretty close to home.
I know.
I mean, it's in the scale, in the grand scale of where war is at, from here to Lafayette, I don't want it. That's, and you could hear it in her voice too.
Right. And you were saying, well, they have no strategy, but Iran.
I wasn't saying that. You were saying that.
No. Well, I know, but saying like shutting down the Strait of Hormuz, that's a killer right there in itself.
Right. Well, she was saying that what we're in right now, we have to win because if you have Iran in charge of the Strait of Hormuz, they can turn it on and off like a faucet.
Yep. They're using it. They know how to use it. Yep. All right. New Jersey Governor Mickey Sherrill said on Tuesday that the state found that over 6,000 people who said they were not U.S. citizens have been incorrectly registered to vote due to a technical error, but that only a few hundred have been found to have actually voted.
Wow. I mean,
What?
if there's any at all that had voted illegally, 6,000 registered to vote that should not be registered to vote at all. And that's the kind of fraud that Donald Trump held a press conference or night an evening address to talk about. Yeah. Everyone's like, "Oh, the man's crazy. He's out of his mind." Well, I mean, this is now not coming from Trump. That's coming from New Jersey's governor, saying we had a few grand. I mean, only a few hundred of them actually voted.
Yes, 6,000 people who said they were not U.S. citizens. But now it's coming from somebody else, like you said, not just Trump. So,
Yeah. By the way, I want your answers in the chat over on Facebook Live. We're live on Facebook every day, courtesy of the folks over at Lake Urgent Care. I would love to know if anybody followed the link that Donald Trump talked about last week. Because he said all the documentation.
Oh, he gave a link?
Well, he gave a website out.
Yeah.
I mean, but like he said all the information he was talking about is well documented. All the documents were available. I think it was either at the White House's website or some governmental website. But he told everybody where to go to get it. And every conversation that I've had, no one has, and it's anecdotal. This is not a scientific study. This is just my observation. But no one went back to actually click the website to see what was at the website that he was talking about. Everybody either knew he was out of his mind or knew he was 100% right. And we don't have to have verification anymore. We just either love the man or hate the man. And by the way, as a disappearing party known as the Reagan Republicans, I will always live by trust but verify. So if I want to call him a liar, don't I need to verify that? Or if I want to believe he's telling the truth, don't I need to verify that?
If you looked at me and said, "Hey, I want you to take a polygraph test," and I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it. Hook me up."
Yeah.
To some people, my willingness to take a polygraph test is verification. I understand what you're saying, but understand some people saying, "Hey, go to this website, you can see everything for yourself." I don't need to go to the website. He just told me that there's a website that it's all on there. I hear what you're saying. People are funny like that.
I mean, have you never watched an episode of Law and Order SUV?
My ringtone,
the guy. I know.
That's your ringtone, Franz.
But
my messenger is the din din.
Yeah, it's the guy who on the front end who always says, "I got nothing to hide." He's the guilty one,
right? Plain sight.
We're at 612 and Talk 107.3 FM and WBRP. Someone's going to comment that it's SVU, not SUV. It happens every time. FlyBTR.com is the Baton Rouge Metro Airport website. FlyBTR.com. As you're making your plans for the upcoming LSU football season, side note, Matt Moscona is going to join us at 8:35 to talk about SEC Media Days. as you're making your plans for the LSU football season, you might want to check out the Baton Rouge Metro Airport because they've got a direct flight into Knoxville, a direct flight into Lexington, getting you ready for the Tennessee and Kentucky games respectively. Now, if you got friends coming in from Clemson, if you got friends coming in from Alabama, if you got friends coming in from Texas, there's direct flights there as well. Just you learn more at flybtr.com. Now, it's not just for LSU football. Of course, Baton Rouge Metro Airport is there for you every single day. Learn more at flybtr.com.
Kind of like a bobcat, but not quite. Like a Cajun bobcat. I mean, he's slightly conservative. Right?
Right? I know.
Right?
You know who's good people, Franz? She's a good girl.
Who's that?
The only thing is she lives in New Orleans now.
Who's that?
Jessie.
Jessie.
That goes to Mercy. You know
Jessie Morgan?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I'm friends with her on Facebook.
Yeah, you should try to take her on a date.
No. I'm friends with her ex-husband. I'm friends with her. She is genuinely a beautiful, fit woman, and I love her kids. I think she's dating somebody, actually.
Oh, really?
No, it says she's single. I don't know.
No, I think she's single. He's dating somebody. They might have broke up already.
She is super into fitness.
Yeah.
I did the her confirmation class. I was a part of that, helping out. But yes, I agree that Jessie is a very wonderful human being. If I felt like there was even a remote possibility, I would indulge you on that, but I'm pretty sure that would be a no thank you. I'm pretty sure that would be
she would be like, no thank you.
Yeah. She can't handle this.
Can't handle that.
I mean, if she said, yeah, do it, I'd be like, okay. But I'm also friends with her ex-husband. And that gets
Jessie Morgan. She used to work sales at iHeartMedia. Used to open a bar, goes to Mercy.
In fact, I teamed a retreat with him.
Jessie Gervais was her last name.
Yeah, Stephen.
Yes.
Really good guy.
Young. She's my age. But
fit. No clue.
Very fit.
Yeah.
Tone, like intimidating, intimidatingly.
She started to do CrossFit, so she started to like.
What's that do to a human body?
Jessie Morgan Gervais. Technically, she's not a Gervais anymore, but type Jessie on Facebook.
What does that do when you go from being toned to like bulking up? Like, does that?
Yeah.
I don't mean that ugly. I mean that's a legitimate like.
You said Morgan or Morton?
Morgan.
M-O-R-G-A-N.
You know who she is. You just don't know who she is.
Her 3 kiddos and they all go to Mercy. She lives in New Orleans now, though.
151 mutual friends. That's got to be her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You'll recognize her face when you see her.
Well, if Facebook would allow you to look at the damn profile picture anymore, so it's going straight to
it's
stories.
really getting in the way of my stalking. Damn it, Facebook.
We'll do that another time. .618 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Got to move quickly here. We ran a little bit long in that first segment. Big news out of New Orleans yesterday, as and our news partner. Shout out to our news partners at Louisiana Radio Network for grabbing hold of this one. I said we're gonna move quickly. Doug Thornton stepping down. Doug Thornton, he has managed the Caesars Superdome since 1997. Well, he's managed the Superdome since 97. It hasn't been Caesars that whole time. He's leaving his job on September 4th. The Dome hosted the first Saints game in 70. Its first Saints game in 75. Super Bowls, Sugar Bowls, Bayou Classics, everything that rolls through that dome. Doug Thornton's been has been under his eye since 97. Cut 13, please.
Being able to sort of reconfigure the architectural design inside the 2 million square feet, I think, has been what has allowed this building to succeed.
And it's part of that's going to be going on with X Games this weekend, to be sure. Thornton, by the way, oversaw the massive renovation of the Dome following Hurricane Katrina. Another 4-year, $560 million renovation was completed just a couple of years ago. But, man, that is a name that has been synonymous with the Superdome for quite some good 30 years. So he'll be stepping aside. As for the rest of sports, visit louisianasports.net for everything on the SEC Media Days. Right now, here's a Fox Business Report.
I mean, I would, but
I've been knowing her since 2017, and when she left, she started at NBC 33 doing sales.
mm-hmm.
They came to iHeart, did sales.
I imagine she's very good at that.
Yes, she's great at sales.
Mm-hmm.
And then she had something else in between that, and then she went go open a neighborhood bar, if you remember. And she does real estate too, and she's back in sales, but at WWL.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no clue who that is.
Remember that conversation I had earlier about that's never worked out for me. Brian will tell you, it's never worked out for me.
So Franz, Troy goes, Franz, you should probably date outside your church parish.
Thanks, Troy. Kim would agree with you.
Shut up, Franz. Oh, Lord.
Just looking for a good Catholic woman. Just a good...
Well, I know that.
Or a freaky Muslim woman. I don't know. No?
No.
No.
Good morning, Renee. Oh, Alan Hush.
We're looking pretty good on the interstates right now, y'all. In fact, there's minimal delays, to say the least, or if to say anything, I should say. Minimal delays on I-12 westbound as you're coming in from Denham Springs. Basically, from Denham to O'Neill, it's not even a delay. It's just, added cars out there on the interstate. Not a whole lot to even report about, but since there's so little to report on, that's the only thing that's showing up on the screen at all, with one exception. Getting off the interstates, there's no accidents reported on your surface streets. However, we are looking at volume on airline highways building up very, very quickly in between Choctaw and Greenwell Springs Road in both directions. Not entirely sure as to why, because there's no incident to report there, just showing that there's added volume. Other than that, we're looking great. That's the only thing to report right now from the Talk 107.3 Traffic Center. .623, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Before we get you to Legally Served, let me remind you about the folks over at Mathern's. You know where to find them. You're going to find them in your phone because you're going to download the Mathern's Rewards app. And then you're going to find them in real life, downtown on 3rd Street, Nicholson Gateway Shopping Center on LSU's campus, or back in their OG location, Highland, just west of Kenilworth. Big old store over there, y'all. It's Fantastic store. Now, love telling you about the Bethurns Rewards app, especially on a Wednesday, because that's when the new deals of the week drop. $1 here, $1 there, starts to add up when you talk about the savings. This week's deal is Tide Simply Detergent, marked down with $1.99 for their 32-ounce bottle of that. Clip the deal. Clip all the deals you want as you do your shopping. It adds it up for you when you get to the counter. And, oh, by the way, you earn cash towards more groceries every time you shop at any location of Bethurns. Time for Legally Served. Let's hit it. Good morning, Franz.
Good morning, guys.
Like the suit. That's a good looking suit.
It's a green suit. I don't have any coffee on me this morning. Last time I had this suit on, I spilled a latte all over my lap.
Well then.
My hot pants.
Oh,
Hey, look,
no.
you don't have to be a train conductor
Mm-hmm.
to see that the train in New Orleans is way off the tracks.
Is that where you
right
want
now.
to start?
I want to knock out New Orleans.
Okay.
So, prosecution of an attorney general stems from an allegation that she sent a letter to a bunch of political leaders in New Orleans, and council people, the mayor, the district attorney. Yep. And the letter was intimidating in nature.
Right.
That's the allegation. A grand jury spontaneously investigated this and indicted her for a bunch of stuff.
Special 14, I think it was. In the teens.
Special prosecutor Lori White is driving this bus right now.
Right. Now, add to that, though, didn't every judge step aside so they had to go find a judge? Everybody's
recused themselves.
We want no piece of this mess.
All of a sudden, spontaneously, a lot of spontaneity going on in this case. Spontaneously, the leaders, the same people that are, quote, victims, said, hey, what? We want this prosecution to go away.
Yeah. Well, you were the ones that brought it. So,
yeah. Well, did they bring it or did the grand jury bring it? Or did the special prosecutor through the grand jury bring it?
I'm sorry, does the grand jury just spring up out of nowhere?
That apparently is the story in this case. The grand jury, fun fact, a grand jury has investigative authority and can just spontaneously issue subpoenas. Now, your follow-up question is, well, how often does that happen? Never.
Right.
Citizens, grand jurors don't generally want to do more work than they have to do.
Right.
So they're not just sitting in the grand jury room saying, you know what we should do, Bob? We should investigate the attorney general, because what bad would it befall us if that happened? So the question I pose to you, the listeners, the viewers, is, okay, the victims of a crime, and this happens in the justice system every single day. The victims of a crime are saying to the prosecutor, hey, stop. I don't want this. Should the prosecutor listen to them?
Absolutely not.
Right. What say should they have in all this?
None.
Right.
This started somewhere. First of all, a grand jury it can't just spring up out of nowhere when a letter was sent to someone privately. Something had to happen to cause the recipient of that letter to say, I'm being intimidated. That had to put things on the map to begin with.
Did they testify at the grand jury that they were, in fact, intimidated? So if now they are,
hang on, let's do this. It's got to be the minutia of it, okay?
Yeah.
Let's do this to where person receives letter. They read letter. They say, I'm intimidated by said letter. How does grand jury get convened from there? Does it just a group of people say, grand jury assemble? Or
so
there's a legal process.
The way I've always seen it done, the way I did it when I was a prosecutor, and I convened a grand jury they're on a schedule to convene.
I'm sorry, as a prosecutor, you called for it?
So let me correct what you said.
Okay.
They meet on a schedule.
Mm-hmm.
It is incumbent on the prosecutors to schedule presentations to them on that schedule. So if there's nothing to present on a day, then they don't come in, right?
Okay.
I assume what happened was they were meeting on a day, if you believe what was said, and they said spontaneously, we think that we should investigate these allegations. I doubt that happened. I always said to them, I'm presenting to you a murder case today. Here's a memo about it. I'm going to call my first witness.
They
smells
meet,
funny,
so,
right? It smells funny.
Okay, are there days where, and who's on this grand jury to cause them to meet? And I've got so many questions about this one thing alone, but we're coming up on news. Sure. We got news, we got traffic, we got weather. We got to talk about allegedly skimming $1.5 million from a charter school. That might be on the table as well. We got a lot of ground to cover, y'all. Legally Served with attorney Franz Borghardt. We do about this time just about every Wednesday. We're going to pick it up on the back end. Starting you off with ABC News, then we'll hit it locally. I'm sure there will be an update on Tropical Storm Bertha right in there. If not news, then at least in weather, because that's coming your way right now as well. Franz is in with us for the rest of this hour right here on Talk 107.3 FM. Let's get you to ABC News.
So yeah.
Okay, so how do I get on this grand jury that is sprung out of nowhere?
You're asking two different questions. There is a grand jury that is randomly selected and impaneled, and that serves a certain term. Okay. That is one question.
And they just get together and see what kind
there
of
is a grand
shit can
jury.
we fix?
There's a grand jury coordinator that aligns them getting to court on a schedule, and the state presents things to them. They do have, pay attention to what I'm saying.
I am.
They have the authority to spontaneously, that may not be the right word, they have the authority to say, hey, you know what? We're gonna investigate Breland.
Right. So they could just randomly decide.
The question
this group of people who came together because they were appointed?
They're randomly selected.
By whom?
Voter registration license. Okay. It's no different than a pettit jury. Like the jury that I'm picking in Plaquemine right now, which I can't talk about that, randomly is selected out of so they serve for a period of time unless otherwise disqualified. Okay. That's a good slurp. I believe
still
that,
too hot.
I believe that slurp. That's a slurp I believed in.
You gotta aerate a little bit until it gets cooled off. Then you gotta chug it before it gets too cold.
So I will tell you, somebody had to tell them you need to investigate this.
Right.
Was it? I don't know. Now, could they have what? This could have happened. Hey, I watched the podcast by the mayor. She does podcasts. I watched the podcast by the mayor where she talked about how she will not be intimidated. She did that podcast by a letter from the AG. I think we need to investigate this. That could have happened. That theoretically could have happened, right?
So
I wanted to talk about the victims and whether or not you should dismiss or not. Brian wants to talk about this very good legal issue about how does this whole happen?
Yeah.
We talk about whatever you want, bud.
We're going to get to the victims part of this in a minute.
All good.
It's got to go sequentially.
He doesn't know how much little sleep I've been getting in the last couple of days. It's great.
You should text me because I'm up. I haven't slept in 2 nights.
So my co-counsel is drinking these energy drinks, and he's like super into fitness and everything. And it was like a Red Bull almost, but not a Red Bull, but something like that. And I immediately was like, you should be drinking those 4-hour or 5-hour energy drinks. Dude,
not me.
So I get home. I smoke cigars, right? I get home last night, 8:00. You call that smoking a cigar? Don't take away what little masculinity I have. So here's the deal. That will make you jittery. That you get not a buzz, but it's like a dose of caffeine. It will amp you up a little bit. Yeah.
I've always had the opposite reaction.
It makes you drowsy.
It helps settle my stomach. Like
okay.
Cigars help.
That's awesome.
They help.
We should smoke cigars.
They help in digestion. I haven't smoked a cigar in a decade.
What's the worst that could happen?
I have trouble not inhaling.
I actually have the exact opposite problem because I've never smoked cigarettes or other things regularly. See what I said there? If I try to smoke a cigarette, I cannot inhale a cigarette, which is probably a blessing. So good. You miss it a little bit. Yeah. He's a DJ.
So
did Christy smoke?
No. I dipped in high school.
That surprises me.
Why?
Just because it didn't sit.
Baseball in Covington.
Do you do the little packets now?
No.
That's what you should do.
I dipped in high school. I got to college. I was told that dipping's gross, but I wanted the nicotine.
So you started
And
smoking.
a girl that I was in class with, in a study group with, offers me a cigarette one night. So I started smoking. I only smoked for about 4 or 5 years before giving it up because it is heavy on the lungs.
I would
Give it up before Christy?
During.
So
before we were married.
If I was plastered and out of my mind drunk, I would try to smoke a cigarette, but I could not actively make myself inhale because you don't inhale cigars. And in fact, if you inhale a cigar, guys that inhale cigars, that's next level because you will get sick.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do it.
I know that much.
I've gotten sick before, but I don't normally get sick from inhaling a cigar.
Alan says that would be hilarious to see Brian on edibles, brain on edibles.
That's I'm chill. I might still have some of the chocolate bar in the fridge.
Edibles are a different kind of situation. It's just a different situation.
You don't do anything. You go to sleep.
Well, it depends. Indica. I'm assuming, right? Yeah.
Everyone that I've tried,
even sativa.
If I consume too much and and have a lot of caffeine, I just go straight to Parallel.
I understand edibles.
Also, I get hot.
I understand edibles in the sense. I understand edibles in the sense that the smell of weed, to me, is gross. Edibles, on the other hand, who doesn't like a good chocolate chip brownie?
So see all that shit? It's paranoid as hell.
Really?
I can't do it.
That's why I stick to heroin. Heroin.
.636 to Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Legally served with attorney Franz Borghardt, rolling right along. All right, diving right back in. We're talking about grand juries, and we're going to get this around to can a victim call off a case for just because they feel like it. But we're back on the grand jury part. So grand juries are randomly selected from registered voters, driver's license holders, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. I don't even think you don't have to be registered to vote. You just have if you've got any form of state identification, you're a state citizen.
Correct.
You're in that pool, right?
Correct.
So the grand jury comes together, and then from there, and this is where you keep losing me, okay? And it's admittedly it's on me. It's early. All right. Either someone can bring something to them and say we would like this to be something,
right? Or
the grand jury could just randomly decide we want to make stuff up out of thin air.
The grand jury can use its authority to investigate what it believes to be a crime. But it needs a conductor. It needs someone to, yes, it can issue subpoenas, which is why the special prosecutor was appointed.
Right.
So once the special prosecutor is appointed, you would theoretically think that they are the ones taking that investigation and presenting it back to the grand jury.
Now, is there any way to definitively know if someone asked the grand jury to investigate this or if they divined
That's what your girl is trying to find out right now. I don't think that she's entitled to know that.
Mm-hmm.
She is claiming impropriety, and that may be her way to find out. But it's not whether the grand jury did it or whether the DA's office did it, whomever. It's their authority. She doesn't get that right. She doesn't get to pierce confidentiality. And what's worse is she's one of the top prosecutors in the state. She knows that. Doesn't mean now. Look, as a defense attorney. This is what we haven't really talked about. I love everything her attorneys are doing right now because if it works for her, if it's good for her, then why can't I do it?
That's what we call precedent.
Chaos.
Yeah.
Upset the established order and everything becomes what? Chaos.
So let's continue to walk down this path, okay? One of the things that is going to have to be relevant here, and there's no way it can't be relevant, is all the side circus that has stemmed from this. The New Orleans versus the state versus New Orleans, the whole you indict the attorney general and all of a sudden the governor's involved.
Let me make it easier. If you had a domestic violence case where defendant is accused of beating the ever-loving snot out of a victim, witnesses see it, bruising, photograph, history of beating the snot out of this victim, and she comes to you as a prosecutor and says, I want you to drop these charges.
Right.
It's easy. Right. I'm not.
She's on the front porch of the trailer saying, he didn't do nothing.
To quote.
Well, then why were you screaming into the 911 call?
To quote my boy from Breaking Bad, don't choose a half measure. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's easy. It's more complicated when you have a political entity or group of people who are saying this individual, in my official capacity, used a letter and used intimidation to affect what my official job is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And now those same individuals are either saying, I don't want this. I don't know if they're saying she didn't really do this. I don't know if they're saying, I don't feel intimidated. I think what they're saying is, please stop. Please stop.
But they got the ball rolling. This all started because
that's the argument.
Whether the grand jury divined this out of nowhere, or if they asked the grand jury to investigate it, somewhere along the way, a letter that was written to someone personally made its way into the public forum. Because if it doesn't make its way into the public forum, if private conversation or private correspondence doesn't make its way into the public forum, we're not here right now.
Well, and then the other question is, if the governor, in fact, says, I'm not doing anything with you until this case is dropped.
It's not what he said, but
what did he say?
Well, he said New Orleans isn't what it used to be.
Okay.
Look, they can infer whatever they want to infer. They were going to go in front of the bond commission for permission to borrow $100-some-odd million to get the budget cleared for the rest of the year, and then they voluntarily withdrew that request because they felt they were going to get shut down. They didn't get the chance to get shut down. They thought they would, so they could blame him on the back end.
Let me clean this up for you, for all of us. A prosecutor, a special prosecutor, has no obligation to listen to her victims.
Mm-hmm.
She represents the state of Louisiana. However, a special prosecutor, a good prosecutor, can look at a situation and say, we need to go no further. They can say, we should dismiss this. They can say, we are dismissing this based on the wishes of the victims. They can say, we are dismissing this because we don't think we can prove our case beyond a reasonable doubt.
That's where we need to go with this.
Right.
What is it going to take to prove a case beyond a reasonable doubt? Because the prosecutor is going to look at this and say, I basically have no witnesses anymore. I have what's written on paper and what's left to interpretation.
If you ever get to a trial, you'd have to call the individual quote unquote victims, and the victims would have to say, I received a letter and I was intimidated by this letter.
Mm-hmm.
And a jury would have to believe it beyond a reasonable doubt.
Right.
Goes back to the top of the page. The defense would be, as the attorney of the state, I wrote you a letter telling you that you might run afoul of the law and that there may be consequences if you run afoul of the law. It's not a torpedo. I wasn't firing a warning shot at you. I was telling you what the law is. That's going to be her defense.
Mm-hmm.
That's my job. If I'm an attorney general, God, that would be so fun if I were an attorney general.
God help us.
You have to call me General Franz. Point is, I think a good prosecutor would get rid of this. A good prosecutor would have told the grand jury, okay, I'm going to go here. A good prosecutor would have told the grand jury during all this, guys, you can do whatever you want. That is your legal right.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot prove this case beyond a reasonable doubt.
Now,
please do not do this.
Does the grand jury have to listen to the prosecutor at that point?
No.
So the victims cannot want the case. The prosecutor cannot want the case, but there will still be a case.
I will tell you, in my experience, the grand jury looks to the prosecutor as a legal advisor and guider. If I told, I cannot go into my grand juries I did because they're secret.
Right.
But I can tell you, if a grand jury wanted to go higher than what I thought the charge was, I might have said something to the effect of, you guys have the legal prerogative to do whatever you want to do. However, I do not believe I can prove that case beyond a reasonable doubt.
Now,
and it would be difficult for me to prove that with current evidence beyond a reasonable doubt. I think this, and then I would say, I think this is X, Y, and Z.
Now, how much of this comes back around to the politics who are those who the
politics
of those who are physically on the grand jury? Because you're talking about a pool of people. You're choosing from a pool of people who have not elected a Republican to anything ever, with the exception of Joseph Gow.
We don't know the political alignment of those citizens. And those citizens
no, Franz, we do. We don't know the politics of the individuals, but we do know the makeup of the city council for the last 50 years, the makeup of the mayor's office for the last 50 years, the makeup of the state senators and representatives for the last 50 years. We know that.
So here's the thing. If this goes away criminally, it does not go away. She's going to file suit against these individuals.
Attorney General Merlos?
Oh, absolutely. It will become
I disagree with that.
That will become I disagree with that because it will become an inverted witch hunt to find out who and why this happened. And then she will prosecute.
Let me tell you why.
She's not vindictive. That office is not vindictive. They haven't done political corruption cases before.
When there's justice to be had, absolutely they can.
Well,
but I believe there's
is an eye of the beholder perception issue, is it not?
Yeah, it is. But I mean, if you want to find out the truth, you can call it vindictive if you want, but seeking the truth, it shouldn't be considered vindictive.
Let's make it is.
But I don't.
Today is July 22nd.
Mm-hmm.
Paying attention, everybody. Paying attention. If these charges are dismissed, or if they're not dismissed, at some point, she individually or as the state of Louisiana will file suit against some of these individuals to get to the bottom of why this happened, and then she will prosecute.
You are looking at this with blinders on, though. You're looking at this strictly through the legal perspective, strictly through the office of the AG. Zoom out and take into account that you've got Jeff Landry and the mayor of New Orleans that are spatting right now.
Right.
This is
what's to stop her from being the instrument of the governor?
Politics. The governor's saying, "Don't do this. It's time to play kumbaya."
But is the governor?
We got a break. We got a break.
Saying that
he should be. 6:40 coming up on 6:47 to Talk 107.3 FM. We'll check traffic. We'll check your money now. Legally served with attorney Franz Borghardt continues next. No, this is the time in the game where things pivot and they become friends again.
Let me tell you,
which is why I don't think it'll be sought after.
I agree with you. That's what should happen. I don't agree with you that is what will happen. How about that? We have time to talk about the last one.
Yeah,
I don't even know.
Well, I need to. So we'll put a button on it.
So
but I don't want to.
WBRZ did not send me the interview, and I couldn't find the video, so I don't know what I said. Or let me rephrase: I don't know what they used of what I said
about the charter school.
But I was pretty harsh. I was like,
I don't know what you said either. We actually had the TV was on in the background.
You just saw my face in your bedroom.
Yeah,
as it should be.
The TV was on in the background, so I snapped a picture and put it in the chat.
Christy was like, we don't need to have Franz in our bedroom ever again. Get out of our bedroom, Franz. Who's texting you, Brian?
Yeah, that's
same old.
Yeah. All right.
My position has been very even-tempered today.
Yeah, normally you're more fiery.
No, this is I've said that I think it should be dismissed.
No, it has thus far been a good segment.
Yeah. I stand by what I said, though, that I don't think this will be the end of it. I didn't draw first blood. It's Rambo. There's a new Stallone movie coming out.
I played Rocky.
I kind of want to watch it.
Yeah.
His story is actually
it's a movie about the movie. It's a movie about making the movie.
It's like about a dude playing a dude.
Pretended to be another dude. I don't know when it comes out. Baker, Louisiana Charter School. Was it, who did the story? Was it Jordan?
It's a dude, Joe Smith, maybe.
Joe Smith? Is it a fake name?
I don't know.
It always starts about 4 seconds late. So
to modernize Kuzma, agreed to intensify negotiations in the coming weeks.
It's all good money now. But they didn't open it.
yeah.
They missed the opener.
The Secretary of State Marco Rubio says Iran is not serious about peace talks. West Texas Intermediate at roughly $87 a barrel, Brent at 94. PlayStation has announced it will end physical disc production.
I got to be on Tech Gumbo recently.
I think I said that.
It was a lot of fun. I like to geek out.
What did y'all talk about on Tabitha's podcast? I haven't listened yet. Like, what's it like being an attorney? Like,
You need to listen.
Okay.
We did a love fest to Brian. Drew loves Brian.
Oh, I know. Drew adores Brian.
It was uncomfortable. The love fest was almost borderline uncomfortable. Like,
I gotta go listen.
like Christy needs to not listen.
Well, that's how ours started off. Drew goes, "Let me tell you about Brian," and I'm like, "Well," he's like, "Let me tell you how I know Brian."
How far back in the past did he go with that?
You got to listen to the episode. We need the clicks.
Well, did he go back to the 1600s?
No, I'm trying to remember on our particular podcast. He was an intern, I believe. It was when Drew was an intern.
He wasn't an
Yeah,
intern.
he was part-time. He started part-time.
No, he was producing Murphy, Sam, and Jody.
No, but he started as part-time. Or was it you that was part-time?
I was part-time.
That's what it was.
.652 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Legally served with attorney Franz Borghardt continuing right now. We're going to pivot over to talk Impact Charter School in just a quick second.
You love charter schools.
I do love charter schools, actually. I believe that people should have the right to find their own education and demand excellence wherever they can get it. I believe it's in changing a failed system. Yeah, absolutely. That's not a knock on Lamont Cole, by the way. That's not a knock on EBR schools.
I got no position on it. I laid up and sent my kid to a parochial school. So I mean, what are you gonna do?
No, I send my kids to a Catholic school with the exact same school.
Yeah,
but that's because I believe in a Catholic education as well. But not everybody's Catholic. So, but charter schools are, first of all, charter schools are public schools. Secondly, the traditional public school method or the traditional public school way is not for everybody.
Let's talk.
Third, if everybody's piled into the same public school, numbers wise, your kid's gonna be at a disadvantage. So
let's talk optics.
Okay.
You're accused of stealing a massive amount of money from a school.
Hang on. Let's start over. The former head of Impact Charter School, her family members, and an independent contractor were indicted by a federal grand jury on Thursday, that'd be last week, in connection with the embezzlement of school funds. The school's previous CEO, Shakisha Scott, her husband, Eric Scott, and their daughter, Courtney Scott, and contractor Sam Green were named in a criminal indictment in the Middle District of Louisiana. The four are accused of conspiring with one another to use school funds for personal use and creating false documents to make the payments appear as business expenses to the tune of about $1.5 million.
So let's talk optics. She's presumed innocent.
Of course.
Hasn't been proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt.
Mm-hmm.
She gets indicted for embezzling money from a school.
Mm-hmm.
She immediately starts a new school project up.
Are we on air? Well, now we were going to be. Okay.
Yeah.
She gets indicted for embezzling money. She starts a new school project up.
So, okay, let's...
Optics? Good optics? Maybe you want to wait? Maybe you want to wait a little bit?
that's part of the story that I hadn't gotten to yet.
Yeah.
So the recently indicted founder of the Impact Charter School was removed from her role as CEO over embezzlement allegations, started a new school over in Baker. So does that play into this? I mean, you said optics-wise it does, but legally does it?
If I'm a prosecutor, I'm going to say that she has a pattern. She is presumed innocent.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody has proven anything, and she hasn't hired Franz Borghardt yet.
Right.
Once she hires Franz Borghardt, she becomes innocent in a way that nobody has ever been innocent in the history of innocence.
I understand.
That said, and by the way, Franz Borghardt would have advised her, you need to lay low until we get all this out of the weeds.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm a prosecutor, I'm going to start talking about patterns of behavior. Right?
Yes, absolutely.
Now, from an optics standpoint, she could maintain, I didn't do anything wrong. This is what I love doing. This is my calling. And I'm not going to let the federal government wrongfully derail my life and try to run a train over me and then convict me and put me in prison for something I love doing, which is helping the kids.
Yeah, that's all fine and good, but you also bought a Land Rover, an Acura, and a Tesla.
That helps the educational process.
It does not help the educational process. That is for personal use.
I mean, you don't know if she's not using those cars in demonstrated of an academic purpose.
Here's the thing that I don't.
You mean
like
she didn't use the money that was designated for educational purposes for educational purposes?
That's what is alleged.
If you're like trying to give her money right now to start up this new venture in Baker,
mm-hmm.
like maybe you need to do some due diligence.
So probably, I mean, you don't go from, being ousted from one job to go start the exact same hustle over again.
I mean, maybe if it's Baker. Now, I love Baker. If you're from Baker, I'm not hating on Baker like I hate on Livingston. What I'm saying is it's not good. It's not good optics.
No, it's nowhere close to good optics.
Like, you're arrested for selling bootleg DVDs in front of a gas station, and you bond out and you go back to selling bootleg DVDs in front of a gas station.
Right.
That was not, by the way,
different gas station.
Much love to the Sterling family. That was not a Sterling reference. Point is, it's not a good look.
Right.
This is not a good look. I would not advise her to do this. I would say pause. Now, I was asked the question by WBRZ, is there anything under the law that prohibits her from doing this? Well, and my response is, unless there's an order from the court saying stop, I don't think there is anything that prohibits her from doing this.
There might be, though, because the charters, that could be revoked very easily.
Right.
I don't know if it's even been approved yet, because the turnaround time on this, how do you get indicted on July 16th and start a new school on July 20th?
Well, it was probably in the works.
First of all,
it was probably in the works.
Okay. I'm sure there was something in the works, but we're at a time right now where there's not going to be any students, there's not going to be any classes. It's a school that hasn't schooled yet.
Was it this kind of starting a school? Franz Borghardt on July 22nd decided he's going to start a school. I'm starting a school. It's going to be huge. It's going to be great. It's going to be the best school that's ever made. Is it that kind of starting where it's like he says he's going to do something, but we know that he hasn't really done anything in furtherance of it?
So Scott's new school will hold virtual interest sessions every Thursday night for the foreseeable future. School director Alicia Clarkson will host the 1-hour meetings where she'll go over enrollment options, faith-centered, master-based curriculum, AI, STEM, and life skills programming.
That's a mouthful just now that you didn't. Good for you.
Yeah.
Here's the question. What happens if she goes to jail? What happens to that school if she goes to jail?
I don't think the school ever opens.
Okay.
I don't think the school ever opens. I'm curious to see what happens to the old school, though, because do you blame the school? Do you blame the charter?
Well, everybody's getting sued.
Well, here's the thing, though. You have bad actors in every facet of life. It's blaming the school for her actions is like blaming the fork for me being fat.
Well, a civil claim is going to be negligent supervision, negligent entrustment. You let a fox in a hen house, and you didn't supervise her.
Yeah.
That's going to be the civil. She's presumed innocent, though.
No, she's presumed innocent. She has to be found guilty before anything else can stem from that.
I don't know who's representing her. Maybe it's a Tesla quality attorney. Maybe it's a Rover. I don't know. Who knows? Bad look, right?
It is a very bad
buying
look.
Expensive things and not using the money where it's supposed to be.
Well, and the alleged skim to the contractor I mean, that's a borderline Sopranos episode. Fiber optic cable.
I'm going to use a
lot of money in that.
I'm going to use a hyper technical legal phrase. No bueno.
He's attorney Franz. That's a good spot to end it. He's attorney Franz Borghardt. Always appreciate the time, brother.
Bye, guys.
Here comes news.
Off the placard.
Walk down with you real quick. Brian Haldane, both right along legally serve with her. Right along legally serve with long legally serve with Attorney Franz Borghardt continuing. Right now, we're going to pivot. Right now. Now we're going to pivot over. Talking back charter school. We'll check traffic. We'll check your money now. Legally served with Attorney Franz Borghardt continues. Now we're going to pivot. 6:40. Come on. Legally served with Attorney Franz Borghardt continues. Now we're going to pivot over. Talking. Politics. The governor's saying, don't do this. It's time to play Kumbaya. We got a break. We got a break. We're going to pivot over. Talking back charter school. Kill the mics.
Oh.
Kill the mics. Welcome in, Boo. Good morning, Christy. Welcome in, Boo. She'd been in the whole time, but
I love you.
what? As it's a post on LinkedIn of all places. Is it? Yeah, that's LinkedIn. As Lake Mead's waters continue to disappear, a forgotten piece of World War II history has slowly emerged from the depths. A mysterious Higgins boat resting beneath the reservoir for decades, once hidden nearly 185 feet underwater. The rare landing craft is now 2/3 exposed, revealing a vessel connected to the legendary D-Day landings. That's amazing.
Huh, that's cool.
Very.
And on LinkedIn? Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure there's some business lesson.
Right.
7:05. Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Hour 2 coming your way right now. Brian here with you, Bree Lynn producing. We're starting off your 7 o'clock hour at 77 degrees. Sevens are wild. 77 degrees at 7 o'clock as we broadcast live from the 180 Pros studio. 180 Pros, not your IT provider, your IT partner. Learn more about them at 180pros.com. We've got Insurance Commissioner Tim Temple slated to join us in our next segment. We got Scott McKay from the Hayride coming on as well. I'll tell you about why as we hit top stories and trending. New Orleans Mayor Helena Moreno, members of the New Orleans City Council, and retired Orleans Criminal Court Judge Calvin Johnson have written a letter asking the special prosecutor in the Liz Murrill indictment to dismiss the case. I hope the special prosecutor doesn't feel intimidated. That's what we talked about with Attorney Franz Borghardt in our last hour. With Tropical Storm Bertha heading towards Louisiana, as a precaution, East Baton Rouge Parish has made self-service sand and sandbag locations available throughout the parish to help residents protect their homes and property. It's going to be nothing of a storm, y'all, but it's out there if you need it. Residents are encouraged to bring their own shovels to fill the sandbags. A list of locations is available at brla.gov/emergency. The warden of the West Baton Rouge Parish Jail resigned weeks after 4 inmates overdosed at the facility. In his resignation letter, Warden Trevor McDonald, who held the post for less than a year, said his decision to leave was not influenced by recent incidents at the detention center and that he has a new position as a warden at a different correctional facility. Baton Rouge is leading the state's other metropolitan areas in job growth over the past 12 months. Leaders for Better Louisiana have a new report out that shows Baton Rouge has added approximately 7,900 non-farm jobs between May of 25 and May of 26. That's a 1.8% increase, up from the previous year's 0.3%. By comparison, Lafayette increased by 0.1%, while New Orleans and Shreveport declined by 0.5% and 0.6%, respectively. It looks like Louisiana's 6th congressional district will not have an incumbent on the ballot. Cleo Fields' team announced yesterday that rather than spend campaign dollars running for re-election, Fields will opt to go back to his state Senate seat, which opened up with the passing of Larry Selders. We'll talk about that with Scott McKay at 7:35. Oh, by the way, before we get to what's trending, I was hitting refresh to get the latest on Bertha. Maximum sustained winds are holding at 50 miles per hour right now. They got up to 60 yesterday, so they're down a little bit from that. Might get back up to 60 again today, but probably won't exceed 60 miles per hour. We'll keep an eye on that. As it stands right now, Bertha is moving west at 5 miles per hour and has kind of, if you go down the Mississippi-Alabama state line into the Gulf of America from there, it's just on the Mississippi side.
She is moving slow.
Very slow.
Slow. All right. Louisiana's population grew in 2024 for the first time since 2017. It was only an uptick, give or take 24,000 residents, but it's an uptick nonetheless.
Right. It's, you plug the gap. There's no, the brain drain might be going in reverse. It's no longer out migration. It's net in migration. I'll take it on every level.
Yes. Well, testifying on Capitol Hill Tuesday, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth told the Senate Appropriations Committee that the latest estimate for the cost of the war in Iran is $37.5 billion.
Cool. I'm just so out of commentary on the war in Iran.
You go, cool.
So there was another report yesterday that there's over 100 injured. We've had 18 killed. For what?
Us had 18 killed.
Yeah, I heard that number yesterday. I thought it was a way lower number than that, but I heard that late yesterday. Somebody was reporting yesterday it was only 3.
Yeah.
And I remember us repeating that report, but someone said later on it was 18. I don't know. I'm so dialed out on it at this point because we're not getting anywhere. It is what has been wrong in that part of the world since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
I just trying to pay my bills. That's all.
You're like, I'm trying to get meat that's affordable, trying to get eggs, gas that's affordable. Yeah, I hear you. New Jersey Governor Mickey Sherrill said on Tuesday that the state found that over 6 1,000 people who said that they were not U.S. citizens have been incorrectly registered to vote due to a technical error, but that only a few hundred have been found have actually voted.
So maybe there was something to the whole fraud thing. Maybe there was something to, because it's not Donald Trump saying that. That's an individual governor saying that.
And people were saying Donald Trump's crazy.
I know. And that, by the way, is just one state.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's just one state. So, and a couple hundred votes is not going to swing a presidential election within a state. But I'll tell you what, it's if you have that level of impropriety that has been discovered, there's still the impropriety that hasn't been discovered.
When President Trump started saying voter fraud and he first started talking about it, everybody was going, oh, he's deranged. He's crazy. Well, yeah, I mean, we're like you said, the New Jersey governor is starting to chirp about it. There might be more, Brian.
Right? Completely. We're at 7:11 at Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Before we take our next break, do need to remind you about Landmark Bank. LandmarkBankLA.com is the website. LandmarkBankLA.com. Been a community bank since 1897 and continued to be a community bank. That's a long time to stay true to one mission. That is a long time to remain where you're at as a community bank. Now, to be sure, they've grown in communities. They're not just the one location. You'll find them in a couple of communities around. It would be nice if I could pull up. There we go. Sorry, I clicked the wrong link. I was trying to pull up the locations to tell you that if you're in Clinton, if you're in Greensburg, if you're in Zachary, if you're in Denham Springs, if you're in Bruley, you will find a Landmark Bank in your community. And having a community bank means having a banker. You can give them more of a look at LandmarkBankLA.com.
Is Tim coming in?
Oh, there he is.
I was like, is he coming in?
What?
Hey, good morning, Tim. Hey, good morning. Coming to you in 2 minutes. Okay, thank you. I was like, is Tim coming in?
Nope. I was just texting him about that. There we go. Nope. 7:14, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. I'll give you just a quick moment to remind you about Neurojust. Neurojust.com is the website. Great place to start to learn about TMS therapy. What does TMS stand for? Transcranial magnetic stimulation. Who is it for? Anybody who's been battling with anxiety or depression and has been treatment resistant, meaning you don't like the way the meds make you feel, or you're seeing diminishing returns from them, meaning you've done the sit down, talk it out therapy, and it's just not for you, which is possible. Now, if it is for you, of course, whatever's working, continue to roll with what's working. But if you haven't found the right fit to battle anxiety or depression, if you don't feel like you're getting over the hump, give TMS therapy a look at neurojust.com, NEUROJUST. And by the way, if you have tried those other methods before, Neurojust will go to bat for you with your insurance company to make sure they pick up the tab. It is non-invasive. It is FDA approved. It is, I can tell you because I've sat through a session before, it is painless, completely. And it nets results, y'all. They've got the numbers over at neurojust.com, but it's something like 85% or more take to the therapy and show results. So learn more at neurojust.com. All right, it is time to visit with Insurance Commissioner Tim Temple. He's on the hotline right now. How are you, sir?
Hey, good morning, Brian. Nice segue there, talking about your product and insurance.
Oh, well, you know what? They'll go to battle to make sure insurance picks up the tab on that. You know, that's a facet. Oh, you know what, Commissioner? We're going to have to do this. We have an absolutely terrible connection. So do me a favor. I need you to hang up, and Bree Lynn's going to call you right back from a different line. Is that okay?
You got it.
All right. Here, come take his number and give him a call back. And not to make this all about ads here, but I might as well squeeze in while we have a moment. While Bree Lynn is dialing Insurance Commissioner Tim Temple back, let me tell you about Guarantee Health Solutions. GuaranteeHealth.com is their website, GuaranteeHealth.com. Born out of experience within the healthcare space, born out of an experience where Rachel Fricke is the founder of Guarantee Health, and she was going through an absolute crisis with a family member, and it was so sterile and so transactional, and the bedside manner just was not there. The relationship was not there. She said there's got to be a better way. If you work in the medical space, if you run a primary care, an urgent care, a specialty care, whatever kind of care, if you run a full-on hospital, give Guarantee Health Solutions a look by visiting guaranteehealth.com and learn that there is a better way. It starts with relationship building and then grows from there. You can learn more at guaranteehealth.com. All right, we got him? Okay, good deal. All right, now we're reconnected with Insurance Commissioner Tim Temple on with us. All right, how are you, sir?
Hey, Brian, how's this?
That's way, way better. We've been having all kinds of problems with our phones lately, and apparently it's not an easy fix. So we're managing. I guess we got to start off with Bertha, right? It's out there, going to hit Louisiana probably late tonight, if not first thing in the morning. But yeah. Do we just roll this as kind of a dress rehearsal to make sure your insurance ready?
Well, I think that's what we need to do, Brian. Like I said, be insurance ready. Bertha is a reminder that even though we're in this weather pattern of super El Nino, and you hear all these talk and articles about fewer hurricanes, that means nothing.
Right.
It only takes one event. As we saw some of our fellow Louisiana citizens with Tropical Storm Arthur, that produced a lot of flooding, but it also produced some tornadoes and damage, to homes, properties where trees fell on it. So we've got to take every single one of these storms seriously. But one thing that we've been getting a lot of questions about, Brian, is, name storm deductibles.
Yes.
And how do they apply to events like Bertha? And Bertha has a name. I mean, that's done by the Weather Service, National Weather Service. And, once it reaches, certain wind speeds for a prolonged period of time, so it gets a name. And so if you do have a named storm deductible, it will apply. However, and we saw this with Arthur, if you had damage, and let's say, a $200,000 home has a 3% deductible. So that's $6,000. If you receive damage, but it didn't add up to $6,000, then obviously there's no coverage under your insurance policy for that. But if there's another event, like, you had Arthur, now you have Bertha, if you had damage again, and that adds up, $3,000 and $3,000, now you're at $6,000. So you only get damage from one named storm deductible. So it only applies one time during the season. So my point is keep records of any damage you have, add it up, calculate it, because you may not have to pay that deductible if another comes down the road. Am I making sense?
You are, but how does that work though? Because let's say, Arthur caused $2,000 worth of damage, and then Bertha caused $4,500. You could compile those two receipts together to claim under the one?
That's correct. That is
Interesting.
correct. But you have to document, you have to file a claim with your insurance company and track all that. But it's designed, the reason behind that is so that you wouldn't be subject to a deductible every single named storm.
Right.
It's there for consumer protection, but you have to do the work. But again, we always say, anytime you have any questions on how your insurance policy works, what your deductibles are, how those deductibles work, reach out, call your insurance agent. They're always the best source for understanding your policy. Once you go through that, if you still have questions, call us at the Department of Insurance, and we can help walk you through that explanation as well.
We're talking with Insurance Commissioner Tim Temple about being insurance ready for Tropical Storm Bertha, or really for any storm that's out there. Tropical Storm Bertha probably not going to be a huge problem for us here in Baton Rouge. However, you see a storm like this, you're not going to get a lot of wind damage from it. You might get, there's going to be plenty of rain down by the coast, to be sure. But if I'm watching anything with this particular storm, Commissioner Temple, if I'm watching anything at all, it's going to be storm surge, because it's moving east to west at 5 miles per hour. When you're pushing that slow, you're going to push some water back up along the way. Now, when it comes to named storms and flood damage, how does that play?
Well, that is the through the NFIP, the National Flood Insurance Program, because most if not all homeowners policies do not have coverage for flood from rising water. So right. Your NFIP policy, that doesn't matter with regards to the named storm. That's not an issue there. So don't worry about confusing those two. And you're right, we're looking at some storm surge. I've been part of the phone calls, they have where they're updating us on what their projections are. They are going to see some storm surge. It's not going to be quite as high as what they were originally forecast, but the people in the low-lying areas, you've got the parish presidents, obviously the governor's office, GOSEP, they're out there communicating what people need to do, move your property, any of your movables, your boats, your cars, stuff like that, campers if you have them, move all of that out of those low-lying areas, because they are anticipating some storm surge. And I don't want to say numbers because I just don't know exactly what they are as of today.
Now, that being said, I mean, if there's going to be storm surge, it's going to be in areas where most, if not all folks, would have flood insurance. I mean, I would imagine it's in an area where, and the maps don't make sense when you get into Baton Rouge, but close enough to the coast, you can pretty much make the assumption you need it.
Yeah, and look, and we have, Louisiana has the second largest number of enforced flood policies in the country. We've got somewhere over 10% of all NFIP flood policies in force, even though we've got 1.5% of the nation's population. So we have a lot of policies in force, especially in South Louisiana. We saw, though, with Tropical Storm Arthur in Central Louisiana, Boyles Parish in particular, there was something around 14,000 homeowner policies in force, but less than 800 had a flood policy associated with them. So different parts of the state obviously consume that product more, and you're right. In South Louisiana, there's more enforced flood policies. Most people, buy that policy. I encourage everybody to buy it if they can. No matter where you are, you can flood anywhere. So I think, if we do see any flooding from this, there should be, policies in force to help cover people.
Oh, no, completely. Completely. Everyone who went through 2016 would completely agree with that as well, because we saw it in areas that were not, that had never flooded before. So,
well, and Brian, we saw that after, and if you look at the numbers, 2017, 2018, 2019, a huge uptick in people that were buying flood policies, right? It happened to, it either happened to them or happened to somebody they know. People went out, bought a bunch of flood policies. But we've seen since then, those numbers have fallen off. And it's almost like it takes an event to remind people, to go out and make sure and keep that policy in force. And unfortunately, if you're having to think about it after the event, then it's too late. So, like I said, we always encourage people, buy the flood policies. And look, I know there's a whole issue with the risk rating 2.0 and the affordability, and people's budgets are stressed with everything else, including insurance. And so I know for a lot of people, that's tough. But what's really bad is when you have 1 inch or 1 foot of water in your house and you have no insurance coverage.
We're talking with Insurance Commissioner Tim Temple, and yeah, that risk rating 2.0, the affordability factor does it makes a difference. I mean, we flooded in 2016 at our home. We flooded in 2016 even worse, where we had a rental at the time, and when you just look at the raw numbers, I don't think we would have been able to afford both policies moving forward had we not sold off the rental after that flood. So, I mean, it forces the risk rating 2.0 forces you to make some, probably irresponsible decisions.
Yeah, and look, I know, you've got congressional delegations, state leadership. Everybody has tried to lend their voice with regards to getting more insight. And, look, Louisiana has done a lot of work over the last 20 years to do flood mitigation, either levees, building new levees, increasing the height of existing levees, armoring levees, pump stations, all this stuff that Louisiana has done, marsh restoration with CPRA and all the good work that they do. We just need to make sure that the federal government is taking into account all of these very expensive flood mitigation issues. And the thing is, we just don't know because they will not let us see any of the information. So, there's a lot of people trying to work to make sure they do that. But unfortunately, we're not there yet.
We got a couple minutes left with Insurance Commissioner Tim Temple. All right, so we went from the storms to the flood. Let's go back to prevention or protection from the storms. We had, I guess it's about 2 months ago, a big announcement about the next round for fortified roofs. Commissioner Temple, I want to ask you, how do we know how many fortified roofs we now have in Louisiana? I mean, as the storm's bearing down on us, do we know how many folks overall have taken that next step to make sure they're a little bit more prepared?
Yeah, Brian, we now have over, I think it's 6,500 fortified roofs through the grant program. And that's the one where you can receive up to $10,000 to fortify your roof.
Okay.
We have in total over 14,000 fortified roofs. And that's, the balance there are people that chose to put it on, get either a tax credit or a tax deduction. And then there are also several, and I say several by many, multifamily housing that have that have fortified roofs on as well. And, that's important. I mean, you get a multifamily housing, a residential unit or complex that has a fortified roof. I mean, if they lose their roof, that impacts many, many families. So having fortified roofs on those, you multiply the benefit there. So we're continuing. We've got 3,000 grants that we just earlier this year in June that we are going through the process. People are receiving, notification, and they're working with contractors putting fortified roofs on. So I think we'll have another 3,000 here over the next several months. And then in September or October, we'll announce the next round of funding for that. And we'll have another total of 5,000 grants in addition to the 3 this year that we're in the process of doing. So we'll have another 8,000 fortified roofs on through the grant program, I would say by end of year, early next year.
We got about 2.5 minutes left with Insurance Commissioner Tim Temple. I'm going to put the last 2.5 minutes up to you to decide where we're headed with it. Do we want to talk about rates overall and what you do when it comes to, recruiting companies when it's not the legislative session?
Yeah, Brian, that is one. Because look, I pay attention and I go to town halls and I speak to a lot of groups, and I always invite in questions and have people, give me comments. And a lot of people will tell me, hey, I just recently renewed my insurance and it went down, or I switched companies and it went down, or I renewed my insurance and it went up. And, those people that say it went up, I always ask, why did you stay with the same company? We are in an environment where we're starting to see rates come down. On private passenger auto, over 46 companies have taken rate decrease. That's almost $400 million less that we're collectively not paying to insurance companies, that we're able to spend, somewhere else that has, where we other financial obligations we have. Homeowners, we've had half a dozen companies now have taken rate decrease, and that just started after 5 years of rate increases. So in the increase, and we still get requests, constantly for fluctuations up and down. We're now seeing just as many decreases as we are increases, and I think we're going to continue to see decreases as long as we don't get hit with some major event. But the question, what I'm trying to say is shop your insurance. Call your insurance agent, and don't stay with the same company just because. Mm-hmm. If you do, make sure that you made that conscious decision. But there are savings out there for people to have. They just need to work with their insurance agent or call their company and shop it around.
Look, I can speak to it firsthand. I mean, after you beat me over the head with that message for almost a year, I finally shopped around and have netted some rewards as a result of it. In the meantime, we always appreciate the time and the information. Insurance Commissioner Tim Temple, thank you so much.
Well, thank you. And call the department if you have any insurance questions.
Good deal. Always. Talk to you soon. 7:30 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Let's go from insurance and Bertha over to this fall. On your ballot in the 6th Congressional District, you will not find an incumbent. Why? Cleo Fields is going to pivot over and run for a state senate. So we'll talk about that with Scott McKay next. You need his number 2. Oh.
Good morning. It's Talk 107.3. Good morning. Good morning. We are in commercial. Give us probably 3 minutes, okay? All right. I'm going to drop one over.
Oh, you got him on 2?
Yes.
Okay. Our last 2 Hillar's in studio, and then we're calling Moscona. Okay. So what I'm going to start doing is to start the show, I'll go down to Eagle 98.1 and call here from Eagle 98.1 because there's nobody in there. So we'll just leave. Yeah, just leave it on hold the whole time. That line has gotten progressively worse. It used to be hit or miss. Now it's just miss.
And it's mainly when you talk for some reason.
It's whenever. It's either way. It's back and forth.
One time when I was a kid, I walked into my parents having sex.
Those little feeder bands that we're getting, like those little pop-up stores from Bertha. Shit.
Yeah, we caught one last night.
I know. I heard it right outside my window. I'm like, my mama said they've been starting to feel the winds down there.
Yeah.
In Homa, yeah. She said the winds picking up.
That's what Each said yesterday. It's going to hit way before it hits.
Yeah.
636 Talk 107.3, 736 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Big announcement yesterday, kind of an unofficial official announcement about the 6th Congressional District race. Get into that in just a second. Do need to remind you about Industry Makes. The mission over at Industry Makes is to be a trusted source of industrial communications while advocating for future investment and industrial growth, which is the backbone of Louisiana. It's all up and down the river. It's jobs that are created. It's the services and products that are used all around the world. And who is their voice? Who's the return serve when the protests pop up? That's where Industry Makes comes in, a campaign born out of collaboration and needed to present a united industrial front. You can learn more at industrymakes.org. So Cleo Fields not going to run in the 6th Congressional District. He is going to go back towards the state Senate. Joining us now to talk about it, we got Scott McKay from the Hayride on with us. How are you, man?
Pretty good. I guess I'm missing my opportunity to comment on the Gold Club bumper music. We started this segment with, but that's okay.
mean, it's in the rotation. Let's just put it that way. It's in the rotation.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Fair enough.
So Cleo Fields not going to run for re-election. I don't know about you, but I'm about over political pragmatism when it comes to what seat somebody's going to want to run for. It's like, do you want to serve or do you want to go where you can best be served?
Well, I said on Facebook yesterday when this thing popped, and it's not that he's not going to run for the 6th district. That's not really the operative fact here, because he had said, I don't know, a couple of months ago, I guess when the new district map was passed, Cleo had said that he wasn't going to run against Troy Carter. So
right.
This confirms that. The operative fact here is that now he's going to run for Larry Selder's Senate district.
Right.
So it's, any port in a storm, right? Like just run for whatever. And the inference that you can take from this is that you're going to drag Cleo Fields out of elected politics in handcuffs or a pine box.
Oh,
and
certainly.
no other means are available at this point.
Certainly, he will be around in perpetuity. And I agree with that. But here's the thing, Scott, he wouldn't be running against Troy Carter. Troy Carter is in the 2nd. Like, he wouldn't be running against Troy Carter in the 6th at all.
Yeah, but I mean, the fact of the matter is, and you can run for any district you want. I mean, I think Blake Miguez may very well be the guy who proves that.
Also true.
But I mean, so he could run in a designated Democrat district, which is, I guess, what I would call the 2nd, or he could run in 6th, which he'd be running against Miguez, I'm guessing, or Rick Edmonds or whoever else is going to make the race in there.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, he wouldn't win in a district that's not majority black. So when he says he's not running against Troy Carter, it means he's not running for Congress. But it's like, no, I'll just run for the state Senate then, because this guy dropped dead and now his seat's open. So, hey, it works out great. And it's like, well, it doesn't work out that great for Larry Selders. But the question is, it's like, are you really like, I'll either be in Congress or I'll be in the state Senate, whatever's available to me.
And has been that way for 30 years now, right?
I know. It's like it's utterly amazing the absolute lack of interest in any kind of private sector employment for Cleo Fields. And I guess he's a politician's politician, but I don't think that that's what our system was based on having. I do know that we have those people, but generally speaking, you would like them to behave a little better than Cleo Fields does.
Yes, absolutely. But I want the part about him not being able to win the 6th. It's already his seat. He is the incumbent. He is already I know the district has gone back to its previous iteration or closer to its previous iteration, but to run away from that, you've got a war chest built up. You've been acquiring donations over the course of a lifetime. Can he not at least fight?
Well, I mean, I don't blame him so much for that. Garrett Graves decided not to run.
Yeah, and I thought that was a poor decision too.
Well, I mean, there was maybe a little bit more debate on that question than there is clear. I mean, it's the thing, and this is one of these sort of larger issues than just Cleo Fields, because all across the South, after the Calais case was decided, you've had state legislatures, who've gone and redistricted their maps, and the ones that haven't certainly will, either before the 2028 cycle comes up, or certainly by the time that the census is redrawn in 2031. And there's this whole thing about Black representation. Like, they made a big deal about this in Tennessee, right? Over Steve Cohen, which is it's like sort of a fly in the ointment of that argument. But and the question was like, well, all of these people are going to lose their seats. To which the response is, yeah. And the major reason for this is that the politicians who've been winning in these sort of DEI apartheid districts have absolutely no interest whatsoever, and have never bothered to appeal to anybody who's not in the core demographic that they represent. So, can Cleo Fields win the 6th district? As I said, of course he can. The guy has been in politics since the 80s.
Right.
And he's never appealed to anybody who's not a Black Democrat. He's never done a single thing to appeal to anybody who's not in that group. Now, there are people who tell you Cleo Fields is a lot more transactional than, the Karen Carter Petersons of the world or the Devontae Lewises of the world. And that's probably true, but that's all behind the scenes, log rolling that people who are political insiders will say about Cleo Fields. Nothing in his public-facing persona as a politician suggests that he is willing to cross the aisle in any significant manner, or that he's willing to buck the Democrat Party on things that his own, representative group is for. Like, for example, when the girls' sports bill came up in Congress, he took a powder. He didn't vote one way or the other on that. Troy Carter actually voted with the left on that, which, I mean, go and poll the Black community, and they're not fans of the girls' sports issue with the, transgender people playing on the girls' teams. They're not for there. In fact, of every Democrat group out there, Black voters hate that more than anything else. And yet Troy Carter's with the National Democrat Party, which is an example of what I'm talking about. So, this issue of, you're going to deny Black representation. It's because, there's no crossover appeal with any of these guys. And that didn't used to be true, Brian. Like I'll give you a perfect example of somebody that, fits this is like Harold Ford, who's on Fox News now. But for a long time, he had that congressional district in Memphis that Steve Cohen has represented for the last 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And, Harold Ford was a guy that, people could do business with across the aisle. And you just don't have that with really anybody in the Congressional Black Caucus, and certainly not the two, Black Democrats who represent Louisiana and Con.
I want to get back to the transactional part of this in a little bit. We got Scott McKay on with us, with Scott McKay from the Hayride on with us, talk about Cleo Fields opting not to run for re-election. Scott, maybe I'm more of an idealist than I thought I was, but when you start parsing this out and nobody wants to run for anything that doesn't have the polling numbers behind it, you lose the validity of elections because you don't have real competition there. You just have anointings based off of poll numbers.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, politics, look, government is way too big and it creates this problem, okay? Because the stakes for leadership in government have gotten so high that politics is a big money business now.
Mm-hmm.
And, the people who raise big money are the people who are now qualified to run for office. In the seats that people actually want, right? Like you can run a low dollar race for city council or, even state representative or whatever. You want to run for Congress, you got to raise 7 figures.
Yeah.
And, because of that, it does sort of freeze out ordinary folks and people who aren't, don't have a political resume of that level. That may or may not be a bad thing. I mean, we've seen some of these guys that come out of nowhere get elected to Congress. Vance McAllister being like a perfect local example. Like Vance McAllister wasn't really qualified to be a congressman, and he proved it like right away. So there's a certain amount of vetting that comes with this, but you're going to get people who are vetted through a system that is not simply the voters.
Mm-hmm.
When you have the kind of entry fees you have to pay in terms of the amount of money you got to raise to run for offices people care about. And it's because the mechanism that you're going to be in control of is so large that, the stakeholders in that mechanism are going to make sure that they vet those people. And so you got to go raise $1 million to be a congressional candidate of any kind of quality. That freezes out.
Cleo has that. Cleo has that $1 million.
Absolutely has that.
So rather than spend it on a campaign, he's going to sit on it.
Years of politics, sure,
right?
Yeah,
right. But rather than utilize it and try to do something with it, he's going to sit on it and move over to back to his old Senate seat. By the way, nice Vance McAllister pull. For those that don't remember, Vance McAllister was the comma in between Rodney Alexander and Ralph Abraham.
He was the congressman.
In name,
got elected and he celebrated romantically, like right away.
We got Scott McKay on with us. I'm keeping one eye on the clock, Scott. I tell you what, I want to talk about Cleo Fields moving back to the state Senate in a second, but we got a break coming up. Can you hang on through the break?
Yeah, sure.
All right, we're going to have a quick 4-minute segment on the back end. Scott McKay from the Hayride's on with us, talking about Cleo Fields opting not to run. And this, by the way, this is why I have an affinity for the fringe candidates, for the ones who know they're going to get their ass kicked and they do it anyway. So there's this part of me that just is like, fight, you bum. We'll close the book on that and move the book over to moving back over to the state Senate. What does that look like? How does it play itself out? Scott McKay from the Hayride is on hold right now. We'll be back on with us right after we check your money now and we check traffic as Mornings with Brian Haldane rolls on right here on Talk 107.3 FM. Vance McAllister, what a pull.
He's so good. Scott McKay's so good.
Oh my God.
That's not a good. Oh my God. You want Michael?
Yeah. .755 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Scott McKay from the Hayride, nice enough to stick around for another quick segment. It is a quick segment this time. We got about 4.5 minutes, Scott. But I wanted to make sure we address the side of this equation where Cleo Fields, and this is fait accompli to me. Like, he's just going back to the state Senate. I don't know why they bother having an election. he's going to win 85% of the vote without even saying hello.
It wouldn't shock me if this was unopposed.
Right.
You know?
100%.
I would be a little surprised if anybody ran against him.
Same.
So, I mean, you know, by the way, nice upgrade with the Modest Mouse on the belt.
I'm very happy to oblige. That's all Bree Lynn. That's all on the production side, but happy to oblige. So what does it look like when he gets back in the state capitol? Does everything start over again with a number of terms in the seat? Where does he go when it comes to committee wise? What, you know, is he going to be put charge of anything at all? Or, I mean, does he just move right back into his normal Cleo Fields role?
You know, that's a good question, because we are not in a different legislative term than we were when Cleo Fields last left the Senate.
Right.
Okay. So I don't know that it has ever happened that somebody would leave the legislature and then come back to the legislature within that same legislative term via a special election.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if the term limit thing kicks back in, and it might very well be that. I mean, if I'm Derek Babcock with the state GOP, I might file suit saying he can't run. That you have to wait until 2027 before you can run.
Exactly.
I don't know. I don't think that's settled law.
I don't know. Because, I mean, if I'm Cleo Fields, I'm saying someone else held that seat, and now I'm going back. And I'm also playing the emotional card to say, how dare you try to do this when I'm trying to fill the seat of a man who passed? You know?
Yeah,
but if
the response is, we don't have to have you to fill that seat, Cleo.
Right.
Don't, wear this guy's casket, around your back. Like that, they're going to put up with that. But like the whole point is that's actually a really interesting question of law is if you're gone for a day, does that restart the term limit clock, or is it a full legislative term of course before it restarts the clock? And I haven't read the statute all that closely, so it maybe it's in there, but my guess is when they wrote the term limits law, I don't know that they considered a situation where somebody would, leave to run for Congress or whatever,
mm-hmm.
and then come back in a special election in that same term. Like that's a very unusual thing.
Right.
It's probably something that would only affect Cleo Fields.
Yeah.
So I don't know, you kind of stumped me on this, and I'm guessing I'm not the only one stumped by it, but it's a super interesting question.
Well, because it's going to cause a ripple effect here, because if he's not allowed to rerun for that seat until a certain amount of time it passes, which would be next year anyway, but
right.
if he's not allowed to rerun for that seat, then does he just sit on his hands for a year? Or at that point, does he opt back in to say, hey, okay, I will try to run for re-election and hold down the seat that I have? Or does he say, I'm going to try and find another seat somewhere and uproot somebody, because it's not like Cleo Fields to not hold a political post in some way, shape, or form?
Yes. Look, this is the reason why term limits should be, you can do your 12 years in the House and your 12 years in the Senate,
right,
and that's it.
Right.
You're done. That is why the way this thing is set up is not satisfactory, and it needs to be fixed.
He's Scott McKay. You get everything over at the Hayride. Always appreciate the time, brother. Talk to you soon.
Hey, Brian. Have a good one.
8:00. Here's news. Where's the head? There you go.
I'm just gonna let you do the ID.
Oh.
Okay.
No, we weren't. I was right on time.
I know. Okay, cool. President Trump.
Brian Haldane rolling right along. Scott McKay from the Hayride. Stick around for but I wanted to make sure we address the side of this equation where Cleo Fields, and I'm just anticipating like it's just going back to the state senate. I don't know why they bother having an election. He's going to win 85% of the vote without even saying hello. 7:55, Talk 103 FM, WBRP. It's not like Cleo Fields. Do not hold a political vote. It's not satisfactory. He's Scott McKay. You get everything over at the Hayride. Always free to stop run. Cleo Fields not going to run in the 6th congressional district. He is going to go back towards state senate.
President Trump is turning up the pressure on generic drug makers, giving them 2 years to get production to the U.S. or pay tariffs. Company says those ship manufacturing by August 2020 would be hit with an 100% income tax, doubling to 200% a year later. Most generic medicines are in. Checking on the market, tech earnings season kicks off today with results from Google, Alphabet, Apple, and Ring. Are heading for losses. Yesterday, a rebound in the chipmakers gave a bump to stocks. The Dow rose 385 points, and the Cybertruck was pushed to pressure the next big hit. Instead, it's an unusual development as on comparison to Ford Tesla, which is widely considered one of the biggest flops in automotive history. Only 7,100 Cybertrucks will be registered in the U.S. this year through May. This report is sponsored by Vanguard Investment Choice Proxy Voting Program for eligible Vanguard Index funds. Bloomberg Radio.
Now a check on your drive from the Talk 107.3 Traffic Center.
Very slow on 41 morning ride at 24 minutes to I-10, east and west of I-10 traffic, no issues across the top of the New Bridge, and still one accident in Kingsbury on Goodwood at Carolina. I'm Josh from Dallas, Bubbles on I-250. We work at News Drive.
This report is sponsored by ExpressPros.com. Your logistics business moves fast. Their team keeping up.
I'll get this off the printer real quick.
Express helps you hire smarter and safe drivers. Visit ExpressPros.com for an office. Express employment professionals respect people impacting business.
This report comes to you from the Talk 107.3 Traffic Center.
Buying or selling a home in Baton Rouge, Mid-City Title makes closing easy. Local closings, expert services, MidCityTitle.com.
Talk 107.3 Letter.
Tropical storm Bertha is on final approach to us here in southeastern Louisiana. It could make a landfall as early as this
Try this again. .806 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Hour 3 coming your way right now. Brian here with you, Breland producing, starting you off at 80 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge to start off your 8 o'clock hour. As we broadcast live from the 180 Pros studio, is it time for your IT to do a 180? Visit 180pros.com. Busy hour this hour. District Attorney Hillar Moore and Nancy Ellis slated to join us in our next segment, talking about a domestic violence stakeholder meeting. It was talking about bringing together law enforcement with judges, the DA's office, the public defender's office, a whole bunch of folks coming together to help combat domestic violence, which we all know is a horrible problem here in Baton Rouge. That's coming up at 8:15, 8:35. Getting a check-in from SEC Media Days. Our entire crew over there at 104.5 ESPN is in Tampa for SEC Media Days all week long this week. LSU isn't coming up until Thursday, but we have had 2 full days worth of teams rolling through. And we'll talk with Matt Moscona, host of After Further Review, at 8:35 about just the vibe going on over there, what they're hearing over at SEC Media Days. Right now, though, we roll back the clock. Right now, it's time for This Day in History. All right, Breland.
Going all the way back to the year 1864, where the Battle of Atlanta begins during the Civil War. One of the campaign's bloodiest battles. Here is the thing about this one, and I learned this fun fact in history in school. It was the Union victory was so important that many historians believed it helped Abraham Lincoln win a second term as president.
Interesting.
Yep, and may have changed the outcome of the Civil War. Jumping ahead, if you don't have anything before, did troops liberate a concentration camp in Poland? It was the first major Nazi concentration camp to be liberated during World War II. So it kind of sets that precedent.
Which one was it?
Oh, gosh, I can't even announce the name. I had it, and I took it out because I knew I couldn't pronounce it. But it started with an M, M-A-R-C. I deleted it by now, but regardless. So, skipping ahead to 1991, police arrest serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer in Milwaukee after one of his intended victims escapes and alerts officers. That's where Dahmer confessed to killing 17 men in 1978.
I'm trying to think who had the miniseries.
Oh God, what was it called? It was so good on Netflix.
It was so
it was called Dahmer.
Yeah, I think it was called Dahmer.
The name was just Dahmer.
Yep.
And it was very well done, very well scripted. It was good. It was a good watch. 1959. I missed this one. Okay, 1959. So Ed Wood had a cult classic. It was called Plan 9 from Outer Space. The reason I bring this up, it was often called one of the worst films ever.
Well, the worst ever.
Really?
The worst
it was
film
that
ever.
terrible?
Yes.
I've never seen it.
Yes, I've seen it.
It's terrible.
It is terrible.
It's that. What's so wrong with it? The acting's just horrible. All of it. Etc. Etc. The whole 9
there
yards.
is no continuity to the storyline. The acting is terrible. The air quote special effects aren't very special.
Jeez,
I
need to watch it now.
Flying saucers where you can see the string that they're hanging from.
Stop.
It's
That's pretty bad.
Yeah. I mean, Bela Lugosi is Dracula. You've got like 8 different storylines trying to combine over between aliens and Dracula, and
so it made zero sense.
Yeah.
See, I always thought Battlefield Earth in 2000, that was the worst film. But good to know that Plan 9 from Outer Space in 1959.
Oh, it's so bad, it's worth watching.
Okay, I got to watch it. 1992, Colombian drug lord Pablo Escobar escapes prison.
Yep.
1994.
Well, no, not just prison. A prison that he built. Like, he built this luxurious prison. He escaped his own prison.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I feel like I knew
known
that.
as the Cathedral.
Okay. Oh, yeah. God. 1994, former NFL running back, broadcaster, actor O.J. Simpson pleads absolutely 100% not guilty of the murder of his wife.
Yep.
In 2019, Marvel superhero film Avengers Endgame becomes the world's highest grossing film, overtaking Avatar and earning $2.9 billion. Yep. What about you, Brian? What you got?
Oh, hey, I forgot about on this day in 1983, Jaws 3D was released.
Oh, don't. And guess what? Guess what starts Sunday?
What?
On
Shark
Discovery
Week?
Channel. Yep.
Oh.
Shark Week starts Sunday.
Franz wants to sponsor Shark Week, but I don't know what we're doing with it yet. So
we got to figure that out. It starts Sunday.
I know. It's got to be good content. I don't know what the content is yet.
Right.
So.
Okay. Birthdays. Are we ready to go?
Uh-huh.
Selena Gomez, 1992.
Yep.
David Spade, 1964. Danny Glover, 1946. WWE Hall of Famer wrestler known as the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels.
Okay.
Is born today. Ezekiel Elliott, known for his years with the Dallas Cowboys. He was born in 1995. That's all I have that's notable. What about you?
Don Henley you had from the Eagles?
No, not Don Henley.
Yeah, Don Henley from the Eagles. George Clinton was born in this day. Okay, who do you think's older, George Clinton or Don Henley?
Don Henley.
Incorrect. George Clinton from P-Funk is 7 years older than Don Henley.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not kidding. Also, born on this day in
hell.
1923 was Bob Dole.
Okay, let's see. I had notable deaths and then my computer froze. That's the audio that was trying to come through the board and I stopped it.
I only got 2 notable deaths.
I have Ozzy.
They
Is
were
that
both
right?
Yes, but died on the same day as Ozzy Osbourne, which was this day last year. Chuck Mangione.
Okay.
So there you go.
What's pulling it for me is Dennis Farina, best known for Law and Order, Private Ryan, Snatch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also died on this day.
Get Shorty. He's been in a million things.
If it will pull up my national day, we have, oh Lord, we don't have anything worth anything. Mango Day.
Yeah, the national days are often just completely useless.
I know.
So,
a Rat Catcher's Day.
I don't know
No,
what that
you know
is.
what? We're just gonna go with National Mango Day, but
Mango Day.
be careful eating the fruit because you might get the
Is
explosive.
it in mangoes?
I think so. I think it's in fruit.
Okay, yeah, I got National Mango Day on the set as well. I thought it was in raspberries, but now they've narrowed it down to just the lettuce from the Taylor Farms or whatever.
Right, and you got to be careful going to fast food joints.
Well, yeah, I don't know. It's I know Taco Bell has seen like a 20% decrease in foot traffic because of the
I think mangoes are safe,
cyclosporiasis. Yeah,
right.
I don't think it was ever reported in mangoes, but it is National Mango Day, so we'll take that. All right, 814 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Quick break. We're talking domestic violence next. Hi, Nancy. Come on in.
I think Hillar's coming.
Okay. All right.
How are you? You got a haircut?
Well, yes. How are you?
I'm good. You know, it's really sad when I know him so well and see him so often. I know when he got his haircut. Well, I just see him every week, and how are you?
I'm fine.
I mean, this is not about me. This is all about that Rotary, not women in Rotary, because they told me that might go away, but Rotary did this.
Women out of Rotary?
No, I think that we might not have a subcommittee called Women in Rotary.
Why?
You know, every president decides what they're going to do. So I just don't know that it's going to be there. So it's not about the subcommittee. It's all about that Rotary Club of Baton Rouge talked about some initiatives. This initiative became incredibly clear, and we decided to pull this summit together. Okay, so
I need to pull it up the printer.
that's all that it's about. And then the only reason why they all felt like somebody should be here to represent that is because had to leave over. And he probably knows now what's going to happen. But I want you to there's now something.
This report is
Which is what we want.
Blindster.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. Tired of overpriced blinds? Blindster makes custom blinds simple and affordable. You measure at home, install yourself, and save big. No retail store markups, just custom blinds guaranteed to fit. Blindster.com.
This report comes to you from the Talk 107.3 Traffic Center. Looking for a real estate closing partner in Baton Rouge that offers mobile closing services.
So I have to talk very well and let Hillary just talk. I don't know. I'm going to text him right now. I'll be like, Hillary,
where are you? I'm not normally in charge of Hillar.
That's funny.
I just appointed myself yesterday. How are you?
I'm good. Have we met yet? If not, I'm Bree.
Hi, Bree. I've been on before,
like
but
met.
I think
we have met you.
Yeah,
we have.
we have
I
met
have.
you. Well, I'm glad. Where's the other one of you?
Right? I know.
Yeah, I know. I get girl. We're a woman.
I know. Right?
Good morning. I am at Talk 107.3 with Brian. Are you going to be able to make it soon? Question mark. I didn't even spell Brian right. Yeah, girl, if you knew how bad my voice to text is.
Oh, I know. And it messes mine up all the time.
And I do it
I'm sending it randomly.
I'm doing it constantly, and yeah, it's ridiculous.
Brian, I'm here. Okay.
Where do you
want me to? I have LRN cuts ready to go. You want to pivot?
Nope.
Oh wait, he's here. No.
Is he here?
I heard.
No,
something.
we'll just visit with Nancy then.
Okay.
But we'll leave the mic open for him.
So where do you want me to sit?
Right there's fine.
Where I am?
Yep.
Okay. I'm
You
gonna.
respond to your text?
Huh? No, not yet.
All right.
What if I told him 8:30? I swear. Now I'm having, because we're in the middle of the summit, so now I'm like, did I do this to him? I hope not.
Wait, you're on my mic. Hang on. Go ahead.
817 Talk 1073 FM and WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. We were expecting District Attorney Hillar Moore in for this segment to team up with the Rotary Club of Baton Rouge and a number of other stakeholders as a domestic violence services group is being put together.
Mm-hmm.
So we got Rotary in the house. Nancy Ellis is with us. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, my friend, my fellow Rotarian.
How are you this morning?
I'm excellent.
So I don't know that we need Hillar for this particular segment. I want him. I want him here for sure, but I don't know that because I think the story can be told. I think you can tell the story. So yesterday there was a big press conference about putting together Baton Rouge stakeholders to convene on domestic violence services in East Baton Rouge Parish. Tell us who all came together and then what the agenda was and what got done.
Well, what I will tell you is that we had stakeholders in the room that were easy, top of mind awareness of who the Rotary Club of Baton Rouge and the YWCA put together, but it was not extensive enough. And we found that out from the stakeholders. So it was from across the city parish. We had Judge Hines in the room. We had Hillar in the room. We had people from the sheriff's office, the police office. We had Women's Hospital in the room. We had the governor's office of women's affairs in the room. It was vast, and I'm ignorant about what everybody's place in the stakeholders mapping is. But what happened is in Rotary, we discussed in a domestic violence kind of like a topical discussion that came as a result of some of the things that Hillar has shared with Rotary in general.
Right.
About what's happening in our community with domestic violence, what the numbers are, how it continues to rise. And we can see it in the news, right? I mean,
look, every single week we do a Crime Stopper segment Thursday morning, 7:35. And without fail, every week that we're looking for fugitives, one of those fugitives is connected to a domestic violence case.
Absolutely.
It's without fail every single week, a minimum of one a week.
Absolutely. And that became very topical inside of Rotary. And as we were discussing it, what we found is that some of the stakeholders didn't have an awareness of what some of the other stakeholders were doing. Right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing, doesn't know the services. And so we began to feel like there was a need for a mapping of the services in the marketplace, right? Okay. Who's doing what? Where's the crossover? Where's the barriers? What can we do to come together? And also, too, as is easy in the nonprofit world, you become very immersed in the work, right?
Sure. Oh, yeah.
At the end of the day, you can't see the forest for the trees sometimes.
Right.
And so here we are, outside voice, really caring about this issue. And we were like, let's bring everybody to the table. That is our role. That is solely our role. And our hope in that was that they would pick the ball up and they would begin to meet, convene, strategize, come together. And that is exactly what happened, Brian. It could not have gone better. Those stakeholders are so thrilled with the opportunity to come together as a coalition. I don't know what it'll be called. I don't know what it'll get birthed as, right? but they are absolutely going to continue to convene and be organized. There's one happening in 1 month. So they are all there to try to see what they can do to collaborate and move the needle.
District Attorney Hillar Moore is on the interstate right now.
Oh, okay.
And by the way, stop texting while driving, sir. I'm just kidding.
Yes.
No, he was giving the update as he's en route right now, but
Okay.
we're all subject to traffic. So let's talk about what services there are right now. I mean, if we're putting together a map, do we know what's out there, what's available?
So there was a lot of conversation around services that different providers have.
Mhm.
So everybody knows the YWCA and Iris, right?
Right.
Those are two stalwarts in the community, and they have great and extensive services. Of course, as always in our community, part of the problem is what? More funding. They need more money.
Yes.
Everybody needs more money.
Right.
Everybody needs to scale. Am I not?
Yeah, let's get this to where it's.
Okay.
There we go.
Everybody needs to scale. So that is one conversation that was had. But what is there are wraparound services. There are services that a victim can go to Iris YWCA. They can start to finish, get what they need, right? And I think some of what was talked about, particularly with Melanie Fields from Hillar's office, one of the things that we all came to the table and talked about was more public service awareness about what is there and helping the community come together. There's also some new funding that is happening for education in K-12.
Okay.
So that's really super exciting because there is a breakout of younger domestic violence victims and different qualifications for what domestic violence looks like. Can be same sex, can be teen, it doesn't have to just be a husband and a wife at the end of the day.
No. Why, and why should it be? It's
right.
Violence that is domestic. It's something that's violence happening in the home.
Right.
However, that home is broken down. It could be a step parent, an adoptive parent. It can be any number of things that would fall under the roof of a home. So no, it shouldn't be pigeonholed like that. Now, that being said, though, more traditionally speaking, this is when you have like Iris and whatnot, and you have the YWCA stepping in.
Right.
It is more often than not going to be husband and wife situation.
Right. There was a lot of conversation by stakeholders about prevention also.
Yeah.
So education became very much talked about, even within the court system, even what Judge Hines brought to the table about what she can and can't litigate and rule on and make people get into mental health programs. There was a lot of conversation around pre-parenting and preparing. What LeVar is doing at FOAM was discussed often about the great job he's doing.
Fathers on a Mission.
Yes,
yeah.
Fathers on a
LeVar
Mission.
Robinson. Yeah.
Yes.
He is literally doing the Lord's work. Yes.
Yes. And so there was a lot of discussion about what can we do more for women. So there was a lot of awareness around who's doing what, but there was also some gaps that were identified. And I was thrilled for that because I think that will help reallocate funding and legislate for some more funding,
So where does more funding come from?
Well, we were glad that the governor's office was represented. So I don't know. You tell me, where does the more funding
I don't know. We're tapped out. You
Hillar's,
have room to pay more taxes? Because I know I don't.
No, Hillar's,
And should it always come from tax dollars?
I don't know. No, well, interesting that you say that. One of the things that we're going to look at from what Hillar has told us is there are several agencies. There's Utah. He talked about Utah and Pennsylvania that have some programs that are community wide. Like one of the things that was discussed also, Brian, was the need to educate cosmetologists.
Okay.
They come in contact with emotional exposure. Both barbers and cosmetologists get told a lot about what's happening in the home. So that was talked about extensively.
Okay.
The stakeholders brought that up. And then the other thing was EMS and the police and any first responder being very well educated. And there's other communities that are doing that. They're putting them through education classes and certifications so that they have a better awareness of what to respond. But where that funding is going to come from, I'm not really sure.
Well, because as a taxpayer, we're pretty darn tapped out. As the district attorney, I mean, and he's not, he's not here with us right now, but like his office is pretty deadgum overloaded. He's got a backlog, that looks like the DOTD's backlog, and they're completely overworked as well. He's literally having to sue the city in order to get the proper funding just to run what he's currently doing. And he didn't want to do that. And he didn't want to come hat in hand to the taxpayers last year, but times are just that desperate. And look, I'm a big, I'll say this because he's not here, I'm a big Hillar Moore fan. And I know he's doing as much as possible with the current resources he has. He needs more resources just to run the office, much less compounded by taking on more.
Right. I think, and I would love to see it become a community invested project. We talked about some of the big stakeholders that are impacted by the communities that are heavily impacted. We talked about the big guys, the Exxons, the community coffees, the people who have employees that are being impacted by this issue, right? Okay. And so we talked about how could we leverage appeals to those players in the market that they would get behind some type of funding that we could use for education, for PSAs, for those kinds of things.
We got Nancy Ellison with us from the Rotary Club of Baton Rouge, one of the stakeholders that was involved in yesterday's domestic violence services. We can call it a summit.
Call it a summit.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we got about 2.5 minutes left in the segment. What's the follow through? What's the next steps?
This group of stakeholders is very committed to continuing to meet. They are committed to mapping services. While we were there, Judge Hines told me she was already working on the mapping. So Melanie Fields has a great deal, and Hillar's office have a great deal of resources that they're going to start to bring and offer to the group. There is going to be collaboration in terms of this group moving forward. And I think when you see that collaboration, people moving out of silos, Brian, we know that's where the work can at least begin.
Well, yeah. I mean, you don't know how many dollars you need till you know how many dollars are out there. And you don't know what is spending smart versus just spending to make sure the resources are going where the resources need to go.
Right.
So
I couldn't have been more proud and excited for those people. They are passionate. They give their lives to this cause. And I think they let down all their walls. They came together and they said, how can we do this better together? Let's roll our sleeves up, you know?
So mapping, is there a timeline put on that to get it done, to know when the next step begins?
Well, they are meeting in 1 month. So I think that we will know more even in 1 month. I think this was, let's come to the table and start the discussion.
Okay. Tell you what, we have 1 minute till break. District Attorney Hillar Moore has just pulled into the parking lot. Let me try and figure out how to do this. We might blow out your money. I tell you what, I'm not going to hash through this on the air. Let's get you to news, traffic, weather, come back. We'll do a couple minutes with Hillar Moore, and then we'll regroup after that. Nancy Ellis from the Rotary Club in with us. Before we hit you up with news, though, let me remind you about One Bath and Closets. David Duvall and his team over at One Bath and Closets are ready to help you out. They've helped me out. They can help you out as well. Visit onebathandclosets.com. O-N-E, spell it out, onebathandclosets.com, and just scroll through the gallery. You might not even realize where your bathroom is lacking right now until you start looking at pictures of what other people have done. This is what Christy and I did, and you can as well. You can call him at 400-8005, 400-8005 to get a hold of his expertise and 30 years worth of experience in the business. But I would start by just exploring a little bit at onebathandclosets.com. All right, come on in. Here's what we're going to do.
You're awesome.
Just made it.
You see, he knows all the stuff so much more than me. I know. I saw that. Okay. Thank you. I think it was huge. And by the time you left, like, y'all are meeting again in a month. I'm gonna stay involved just as a volunteer because women in Rotary, we can't stay involved. No, but I think it was a huge success. And
you all cannot stay involved.
Well, we don't know if women in Rotary is going to keep going. You know how every president does something different makes me so aggravated.
Kill all the mics, please. So.
How can we get more money? How you can't even get money?
No,
he can't even get money for his own office.
I don't know if you were listening on the way over, but that's what I was just talking about. Was like she's talking about needing more resources. I'm like, Hillar is right now literally suing the city.
I think it's pretty much what the people have seemed to indicate is, hey, you guys have money already. Look how it's spending first.
JR's presentation was fabulous.
Well, JR, I read his article this morning.
I didn't read this morning yet. Did you see?
It was his. That's what it was.
And you can send it out. There's
I saw it.
Yeah. So
I have I'm going Monday.
Okay.
So
I was the girl from the governor's office, Laura, is that her name? She got any pull?
I don't know. It's the first time that I've kind of seen her. So
it's good that she was at the table.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So, well, that I think it was Diana already set a date for for August. So it's going to regroup in August.
So
we'll have about 8 minutes when we come back in.
I don't need to say anything. Just talk
so
to him.
Where do you want to take it from?
Just that we are actually going to have a fully functioning domestic violence court.
We didn't hit that part.
And we could talk about the volume of cases that are in our office compared to the overall number. Services that are available, lack of services.
We covered a lot of services that are out there right now,
yeah.
And the lack thereof.
Or
who was the person that just got the federal grant education funding? Open road, like she came in late. You might have already been gone. I can't remember the names. That's the bad thing.
Yeah. Meanwhile, that accident that they're reporting on Goodwood at Audubon.
I didn't hear about it.
I didn't see it.
Yeah. They had a four-way stop sign right there. Goodwood at Audubon.
Mm-hmm.
Guy ran right through the stop sign.
And kill somebody.
No, thank God. But that's a residential area, 25-mile-per-hour speed limit, and this is a result.
Must have hit him the right way.
Yeah. Is this the guy that ran the thing?
No, I don't think so. That looks so. My buddy Tony Turner. Do what? Off? I asked you to turn them off a little while ago. 837 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. District Attorney Hillar Moore, subject to traffic like the rest of us, but is in studio now. So we're going to buy an extra couple minutes here before we pivot. Welcome in. How are you?
Great. Glad to be here again, man.
No, glad to have you back in. Glad to see this topic coming to the forefront a little bit because as I was telling Nancy in the last segment, every week when we do Crime Stoppers, every week when Don's in here with Crime Stoppers, when we're looking for fugitives, inevitably, literally one a week, and at a minimum, one a week is a domestic violence case. So this is obviously a huge problem in Baton Rouge. What was your role in yesterday's summit, and what is your role moving forward?
So yesterday's summit was great, well attended by a lot of the folks that needed to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And the takeaway for me was that there are many others that we need to have at the table.
Yeah.
But the good news was that everybody was very excited and engaged in the issue and wanting to help and lend their expertise.
Mm-hmm.
And we really never had that type of group meeting before.
Right.
And it looks like we're now on our way to have a real domestic violence court,
all right, so
which is big.
Let's talk about that because we've a court that's specifically for domestic violence. I think we all know the demand is there.
Yes.
The number of cases is there. How would things look differently by having that separated?
So just to put it in perspective, we, depending on the year, and this is my 18th year, so we average between 13,000 to 20,000 cases a year.
Mm-hmm.
Things have gone down some with the number of police officers that are down, so cases go down. But regardless of whatever year it was, 1/3 of the cases are domestic violence related.
Mm-hmm.
So if you take 20,000, 1/3 of domestic violence cases, but they're spread across all 8 criminal court judges,
right,
as we speak now.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have one domestic violence court judge, that judge will see every domestic violence offender and potentially victim,
mm-hmm.
and that judge will become aware of repeat offenders and repeat problems.
Would this be an added judge, or would we be taking one judge away from the 8 that are there?
Right now, the way that things are going, there will be no added judges anywhere, to my knowledge, and in any parish. So this would be, and how that would ever happen is not yet to be determined.
Mm-hmm.
As to whether or not every case will go to a domestic violence judge. That means 1/3 of all cases would be in one court, which you can't do.
Well, but so you're solving a problem and creating a problem at the same time.
Yeah,
because that's a whole lot of cases to pile over on one particular
and you
judge.
can't. And so we can say maybe just the felony cases. You can start with that.
Okay.
And then maybe you can start with felony cases that we determine to be what we consider a level A.
Mm-hmm.
That is the next step by this defendant against this victim may be deadly, maybe that. So my suggestion is we start off slow and then work our way into it to see how it works, to make sure we have enough people that support the court. Because in this particular court, you're going to need a lot of navigators, a lot of help, a lot of counselors. And you're helping in this court, not only the defendant, but you can also be helping the victim because they go hand in hand.
Right.
Defendant says, you and I have spoken for years, as you know, go back to the same victim, or the victim goes back to that defendant. They have children together. So in order for the defendant to be fixed, the victim has to be made whole.
Right.
The children have to be whole, their whole family, and in many occasions, their pets. So you're talking about a big, big problem. And we're also talking about school and truancy for kids.
Oh, yeah.
And moving and homelessness and all of that stuff kind of fits in. So it makes it more complicated. So 1/3 of the cases just cannot fall on the shoulders of one judge, despite how much she may want it. It's going to be overwhelming.
Well, you're not going to have all the full 1/3, but if you could start like pulling from the big stack of backlog, moving over, if you could start pulling them like that, I think you'll probably start to see a little bit of momentum because, I mean, specialization, I don't want to say you're churning through them because that's not the right term.
No.
But you would have a level of efficiency that gets created because people learn how to do their job and they, you had one job. Everybody in the system would have one job.
And if every defendant knew I'm going back before the same judge, that does make an impact.
Yep.
And they know that because we had the same way back in the day when we had narcotics court.
Yeah.
The narcotics offenders went before the same judge and they knew, hey, wait, I've seen you before.
Right.
We can't do this again. So there was a difference. So we need to think about that.
Well, because when you have that level of background and understanding, you can remove the politics of being hard on crime or soft on crime and just being efficient on crime.
Correct.
Is that the solutions will match the problems and not just be blanketed.
Yeah, I mean, normally, as you and I discussed many times, we are in the criminal justice system. I hate to say we flip hamburgers. You flip, and you're flipping people in cases and families to move on to the next. And you flip them for 30 more days or 60 more days to come back. And what happens in the interim? Who's taking care of these people in the interim? That's where you would hope that a fully funded domestic violence court can work with all of the parties to this. You're not just flipping them, you are actually helping them and you're satisfying their needs, which is going to be difficult.
No, 100%. Because funding is at a premium everywhere right now. So I don't know how you borrow from one to pay for the other, or
so it could be that the beauty of the meeting yesterday was that we're going to look to see and develop a list of all the services that are out there.
Right.
So right now it may be that we have the people and the services and the money that can serve the population we need already there, and we just don't know about it or we're not using them.
Right.
And so we need to make that available and known to us.
Well, because I mean, there are different factors of this. Yours is on the prosecutorial end, but when you start mapping out the services, you could find out what's on the education end, what's on the awareness end, what is on the shelter end. I mean, there's so many different factors where you could finally start, once you have those all in the same map, you can start to see if more can be moved around.
And we really have to have a one-stop shop to where you go to one place and not 15 other places. Transportation is a premium.
Transportation's at a premium. Trust is at a premium.
Trust is huge. Also, someone wanting the help.
Yeah.
And because judges have the issue of they cannot force a victim to get help that's not under their authority.
Absolutely.
But we have ways to work around that.
Well, then we will follow through as we hit next steps in our next time everyone's convened. District Attorney Hillar Moore, appreciate the hustle to get down here.
Absolutely.
I know it wasn't the easiest. Nancy, I'll see you in a couple hours.
Absolutely.
All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break. I know we're a little early for where we normally have our break, but we have not yet checked in over in Tampa. Matt Moscona is there for SEC Media Days. He will join us next.
Thank you.
Here we have
Thank you. .849 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Time to take you out to Tampa. Matt Moscona is heading up 104.5's coverage of SEC Media Days. Matt, how are you, brother?
I'm great, Brian. Thank you.
No, glad to have you on. We're about midway through Media Days out there. Obviously, LSU isn't until Thursday, but give me the rundown, man. What's it been like so far?
Well, first time in Tampa for this event, so it's always interesting to see because it just think geographically when you're in a different market, you're generally going to pull more local markets. So for years it was in Hoover, Alabama. So there was a lot of Auburn and Alabama media. When they went to Dallas, you had a lot of Texas A&M. Not a lot of Florida media here in Tampa, so that's been interesting. But I would tell you maybe the biggest storyline so far through 2 days as we start day 3 is probably I think been Oklahoma. Of course, LSU played Oklahoma the last 2 years with the home team winning each of those games. But OU was a playoff team a year ago that we kind of forget about. Dominant defense, struggle on offense. Well, the defense is back almost intact, and John Mateer, their quarterback, is back and healthy. So they have a brutal schedule, but that's probably a team that most are looking at saying, of all the playoff contenders, watch out for OU, because if anyone could challenge Georgia, Texas, who are kind of the prohibitive favorites, Oklahoma seems like that might be the team.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, yeah, completely overlooked coming out of the last season. Also, interesting to me, there's actual football talk going on, right? I mean, it's not all NIL and Congress.
I was just thinking it because it's a strange sort of dichotomy because we're here to preview the season and there's 48 players and 16 coaches and administrators, and everybody's here and we're talking about the season. But the topics that are dominating the conversation really are the Protect College Sports Act, which is making its way through Congress right now, and the SEC, and honestly, LSU President Wade Roos and Board Chairman Lee Mallett are opposed in its current form to the Protect College Sports Act. So there's been a lot of that conversation here as well about what guardrails might be put up through Congress or otherwise. It's an interesting place where the Commissioner Greg Sankey and admins and coaches will try to stump for whatever off the field moves they would like to see happen, and that's kind of the big one right now. How do you put up legislation? They want federal legislation to add guardrails to things like NIL or the transfer portal or conference realignment or pooling media rights, all these different types of things, which matter greatly because those are the things that lay the foundation and shape the landscape for how rosters are built and how coaches move freely throughout the sport, things like that.
So following up on that, which side note, you had Greg Sankey to lead off your show yesterday. Within that conversation, what would he like to see changed? What would the SEC commissioner like to see changed about the Protect College Sports Act?
Well, I think most notably, there's two things. Pooling of media rights. So effectively, to make this as simple as possible, like the SEC goes and negotiates its own TV deal, and all of the members of the conference split that TV revenue 17 equal ways, the 16 league members and then the league office.
Right.
Well, what the Protect College Sports Act would allow pooling of media rights, meaning all of college football could negotiate a TV deal. But the problem with that is you would be lowering the share for a school like LSU to increase the share for a school like, say, Iowa State. And the SEC looks and says, we've been around for almost 100 years. We have these big brands and we've built all this equity. And and we have distinguished ourselves. We don't want to lower our bar to help raise other schools that don't have the brand equity awareness that we do. So it makes a lot of sense. So that's one. And then the other, I think, is conference realignment. Not that the league is looking to add teams or anything along those lines. It's just, what if one day you do?
Right.
And this, as it's currently written, would preclude that. So I think those are the two big sticking points.
As the conference as a whole, I mean, is everybody pretty much on the same page? I mean, you mentioned where Dr. Roos is at, where LSU's at, but I can't imagine any SEC team stepping out of line to say that they're in favor of it the way it is.
Yeah. Well, Alabama, Auburn, Texas, Texas A&M, and LSU are the five that have publicly spoken out in opposition of the bill the way it's currently written.
Mm-hmm.
But most of those conversations are had, in private. So Zoom calls and closed door meetings, and the league likes to have a unified front. That they don't like when any of the 16 individual schools step out publicly in opposition of the conference. They want to have all those, air your grievances, say whatever you have to say behind closed doors. But when the doors open or public and forward facing, everyone is saying the same message. So my guess is whatever disagreements some may have, they're having those conversations behind closed doors.
Yeah. Never let anyone outside the family know what you're thinking. That's Don Corleone's quote from The Godfather. I mean, that's a staple, not just with the SEC. So we're talking with Matt Moscona, host of AFR. Also, all the SEC Media Days content will be found over at louisianasports.net, doing a great job on that front as well. Let's talk players and personalities. Every year there's a couple of folks that kind of rise to the top. They garner a lot of media attention while they're there. Is anybody stepping up so far to be the personality of the year?
I wish I had a great answer for you, but it's been a little quiet so far. Today, that should change, because today is a massive day with Alabama, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, and Florida. And obviously, that means Ole Miss quarterback Trinidad Chambliss and running back Kejuan Lacey will be here, and they will be the headliners so far of the week. Chambliss very well could be a Heisman contender, and then there's all the conversation about, if he were considering leaving Ole Miss to join Lane Kiffin in Baton Rouge, and he's given several different answers to that along the way. So when Chambliss is here this afternoon, that's very likely going to be the biggest spotlight so far on a player. Now, I mentioned John Mateer from Oklahoma.
Right.
Georgia quarterback Gunnar Stockton was here earlier in the week as well. So it's interesting to hear from these guys. But it's coming to this event for so long, some take the tact of get in, have your talking points, do your 5-hour car wash, eat a steak, go home, and try not to make any headlines. I think that's going to change today.
Okay. I mean, this is what we're here for, though, right? We want a little hype to start off the season. I don't want the buttoned-up answers.
The headline came from Josh Heupel earlier this week, the Tennessee coach, about Lane Kiffin. So Kiffin was the coach at Tennessee for 1 year, and he very notoriously left, in the dead of the night after one season for Southern Cal. And when Kiffin returned to Tennessee as the Ole Miss coach, Tennessee fans peppered the field with mustard and ketchup bottles, and someone nearly hit Lane Kiffin with a golf ball. Well, Josh Heupel said earlier this week when he was asked specifically if the Tennessee fans had cooled toward Lane Kiffin, he said, "I hope not. I hope our grocery stores are stocked with ketchup and mustard, and the sporting goods stores are stocked with golf balls." I guess he probably got a call from the commissioner about that one, because even jokingly alluding to throwing things on the field is probably frowned upon. But then, looking, Kirby Smart when he was here yesterday, was asked about defending Lane Kiffin, and said no uncertain terms that he hates it because it's the one offense that his defenses have really struggled to stop.
Very nice. Okay, well, we could work with those. The Ole Miss LSU, the storylines within there, the storylines within Lane Kiffin moving, have they been dominating yet, or are you expecting that to start today because of Ole Miss's turn today?
Well, yesterday was more subtle, because the only school here yesterday that LSU plays is Auburn. But I mentioned Josh Heupel on Monday with Tennessee talking about it, and then yes, not only today with Ole Miss being here, but also Florida's here. Remember, Florida was the other school that was in the Kiffin sweepstakes, and they ended up hiring Tulane coach John Summerall.
Right.
So I think with those two here, I would expect the Kiffin conversation will ramp up dramatically.
That's what's ramping up as today. Tomorrow will be LSU's turn at the podium. Are you expecting anything to be like completely explosive from LSU, or pretty buttoned up because we've already, burnt as many bridges as we can?
I don't know that I would say explosive. I also think that Lane Kiffin is sort of incapable of just being boring and unassuming. Like, he's going to come here and he's going to take his shots and he's going to say things that are quotable and he's going to make headlines. I expect the players probably to be a little buttoned up. What I want to know for sure from Lane tomorrow is, why didn't you bring Sam Levitt here? I mean, that's the big red flag. I mean, this is your quarterback. He's the highest paid player on your team. He's going to carry all the expectations of this season, on his shoulders. And you don't bring him to media days. It not bringing him just makes people ask why not.
Well,
and so now you ask more questions because he's not here than if he were.
And then the flip side is you bring TJ Daugherty to draw out all the Ole Miss questions as well. The guy's a naturally born troll.
I think the other part about Daugherty is he left. He started his career at Clemson.
Ooh, 30 seconds. Go ahead.
He had a controversial exit at Clemson, and Lane Kiffin earlier in spring said, in no uncertain terms, that he was a victim. So maybe we'll get some clarity on that story today or tomorrow too.
He is Matt Moscona. You can catch everything on 104.5, or you can do it like I'm doing and get a lot of it at LouisianaSports.net. Tremendous job with the coverage. Keep it up. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Brian. You're fired.
We're out of here. Moon Griffon is next. All right, so Facebook, I'm sure y'all already know that inside joke. No, I don't. Oh, so I was Moscona's producer for 3 years. Okay, he fired me more often than Mr. Spacely fired George Jetson. Every day. No, I mean, he has no firing power over me, but every day, like every time I would screw up just in the slightest, or anytime he would disagree with me, I would be fired. So we've kept it running. We've kept it running over here. Is every time he comes on, he fires me anyway. So it's right. Yes, this power of firing is not very strong. So we'll see y'all tomorrow. Later.